Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. Ugh. The Hyuga siblings turned pale, dry heaving. What's wrong with you? Sasuke looked up, confused by the trio's reaction. What do you think? Neji snarled. How can you eat bendos that are over 20 days old? They're not spoiled. Sasuke said nonchalantly, taking another bite. It doesn't seem spoiled. Shoyo said, smacking his lips before continuing to eat. Brother! Natsu exclaimed in horror. You can't eat food that's been left out that long. She punched Shoyo in the stomach. Spit it out now. MMPH. Shoyo clamped his mouth shut, clutching his stomach as he forced himself to swallow the food. It's fine, Natsu. He said, giving her a thumbs up. It still tastes great, even after all this time. Idiot brother. Spit it out. Natsu punched him again. Ugh. Shoyo turned away, his mouth opening as an unidentifiable substance poured out. Damn it. What the hell? Sasuke grabbed his bendo and bolted out of the cave. Neji tossed his bendo aside and followed. You're not eating? Sasuke asked, looking back at Neji with mild annoyance. I said it's not spoiled. There's no way it's not spoiled. Neji growled, veins throbbing on his forehead. Even if it was refrigerated, it wouldn't last this long. Well. Sasuke scooped up another bite and explained. I kept it in my ninja tool pouch. It doesn't go bad. Ninja tool pouch? That small thing on your waist? Neji pointed skeptically. Yep. Sasuke patted the pouch proudly. It's a spatial ninja tool modified by my uncle. I know. Neji said enviously. I saw you use it. It can hold a lot of things. But does it have a preservation function? No. Sasuke immediately answered. Then the food still goes bad. Neji snapped, his forehead veins throbbing harder. One compartment is a sealed space. Anything stored there stays in its original state. All the food I prepared is kept there. Sasuke said matter-of-factly. Didn't I mention that? Of course, you didn't. Neji's veins pulsed even more furiously, but the grumbling of his stomach betrayed him. You're still hungry. Sasuke, perceptive as ever, heated another bendo and handed it to him. Here, have another one. Humphrey. Blushing slightly, Neji grabbed the bendo and sat on a nearby rock, eating voraciously. After he finished, Sasuke handed him 2 more bendos. Take these to the others. Reluctantly, Neji returned to the cave to find Natsu burying the remnants of Shoyo's earlier mess. After eating, the group sat down to talk again. Shoyo, Natsu, what are your plans now? Neji asked seriously. We originally planned to return and relay the message after finding you. Natsu replied with a serious expression. But my brother needs time to recover. Not just me. Natsu's bones are fractured, so she needs rest too. Shoyo added, equally serious. Given the situation in the Hyuga clan, you shouldn't delay. Sasuke suggested. It's best to heal quickly. But there are no medical ninja here. Natsu said dejectedly. I only know some basics. Should we ask your uncle for help again? Neji hesitated. But it might be too much trouble for him. That's right. We'll recover soon enough. We shouldn't bother Lord Kaido unnecessarily. The siblings nodded in agreement, their admiration for the man who developed the curse marks removal evident. Then, Sasuke suggested. Neji and I will escort you to the border outpost. Isn't that too dangerous? Natsu asked hesitantly. If we're discovered, it could cause trouble. It'll be fine. Neji reassured her. With 3 pairs of Byakugan, we won't be detected. But Natsu still seemed worried. That settles it. Shoyo cut her off. The camp near us only has us 2 Hyuga. Without Byakugan on the opposing side, no one will spot us. Chapter 213, Hidden Rain Village, Land of Rain. Inside the tower, Pain and Conan walked one after the other through a dimly lit corridor. The ceiling of the 6 tails is complete. Next, our targets are the 7 tails, the 8 tails, and finally, the 9 tails. Conan said softly. Who will you assign to capture the seven tails? Sensei Saori and Deodara. Pain replied coldly. They are the last remaining complete team. Understood. Conan agreed but expressed concern. However, capturing the 8 tails and 9 tails might prove very difficult. Pain paused briefly before continuing forward. The 8 tails will be left to Toby. As for the 9 tails, I will handle it personally. That seems appropriate. Conan's body dissolved into countless paper sheets. I'll inform Saori and Deodara to begin their mission. The white paper dispersed, leaving Pain to walk alone into the darkness. Creak. A door opened. Pain stepped into a room and, after closing the door, stopped moving. Inside, Nagata rose slowly from a mechanical contraption surrounded by the 6 paths of pain. From the wall, a pale, deformed figure emerged, kneeling respectfully on one knee. Lord Nagato. Yes, you've arrived. Nagato said, stepping forward. Indeed. The pale figure raised its head, revealing eerie purple eyes with concentric rings. 2 short black rods protruded from its forehead, and a chilling grin stretched across its face. It's confirmed, Lord Nagato. The figure said in a stiff voice. Obito has been secretly scheming behind Black Zetsu and your back. Oh? Nagato bent down, ruffling the figure's orange hair. Good child, tell me everything he's been doing. The pale figure's grin widened, rubbing its head against Nagato's hand. Every time someone captures a tailed beast, Obito appears to secretly extract its chakra. Nagato's hand paused, then he straightened. Extracting tailed beast chakra? I don't doubt he has the capability. Walking to the small window, Nagato stared into the dim, rainy light outside. But the 5 tails and 6 tails were handled by Pain personally. So, Soften, how could he extract chakra from them? I suspect. He said, standing. He stealthily obtained the chakra before your intervention. After all, using the Mengekyo Sharingan against tailed beasts is incredibly convenient. I see. Nagato extended his hand out the window, letting the rain fall into his palm. It seems Obito is also attempting to escape Black Zetsu's control. Likely so. But they don't realize you've already seen through their deception. Soften mimicked Nagato, extending his hand out the window, his expression momentarily blank. The Eye of the Moon plan, the resurrection of Kaguya. Nagato withdrew his hand, pressing the cold, rain-soaked palm to his forehead. How pathetic. Amid endless schemes, whether it's Madara Uchiha, Obito, or the Akatsuki, they're all just pawns of Black Zetsu. Things are different now, Lord Nagato. Soften replied, shivering slightly as he pressed his hand to his forehead. Thankfully, I have you, Soften. Nagato turned, placing both hands on Soften's shoulders. You've been of great help to me. It is my honor, Lord Nagato. Soften replied, grinning wider, his smile disturbingly exaggerated. Continue to monitor Obito. Make sure Black Zetsu doesn't detect you. Nagato instructed, releasing his grip and returning to the massive mechanical device to sit down. I will do my best, Lord Nagato. With his eerie smile, Soften sank into the floor. Nagato rested his head on one hand, gazing silently out into the rain. After a long moment, he turned toward Pain. Yahiko. He whispered, his tone resolute. This world has never been kind to us. He said coldly. Now, even your dreams seem impossible to achieve. But I will make them pay for it. He murmured, closing his eyes. For using us. A manic smile crept across his face, as though speaking to someone who wasn't there. Don't worry. I won't tell Conan. He added in a pained tone. After all, this is all too cruel. Without secretly controlling Soften, all our life's efforts would have been a joke. He smiled gently. Don't worry. Once I've finished everything I want to do, I'll bring Conan to you. Then, we can all be together again. Nagato. Conan called as she entered the room, her voice filled with concern at the strange smile on Nagato's face. He beckoned her closer, taking her hand in his. I'm fine. He reassured her, his expression softening. Soften was here just now. Soften? Did he discover anything? Conan asked, covering his cold hand with her own. Nothing significant. Nagato replied. Until the tailed beast collection is complete, Toby's goals align with ours. For now, there won't be any actions. Then we only need to guard against them seizing our ultimate weapon at the critical moment. Conan said, her worry easing. Indeed. Once we discovered the white Zetsu, we gain the upper hand. My body is fine now, and we've secured Soften for intelligence gathering. Pain joined them, placing his hand atop theirs. I will fulfill Yahiko's dream. Nagato declared firmly. Conan nodded resolutely, her serene face reminding Nagato of the little girl who once saved him and his dog. So many years had passed. I'll rest for now. Nagato said, closing his eyes. Rest well. I have other matters to attend to. Conan replied, draping a blanket over him before leaving quietly. Forgive me, Conan. Nagato opened his eyes, listening as her footsteps faded and the door closed. Forgive me. Perhaps this world was inherently malicious. Kind souls like Yahiko and Conan could never find happiness here. I will destroy it all. Nagato laughed soundlessly. Kaguya. I will offer myself as a sacrifice to summon that apocalyptic demon. When everyone becomes like White Zetsu, the world will finally achieve peace. Chapter 214, In the forest, Natsu led the group, with Neji carrying Shoyo in the middle, and Sasuke following behind. They leapt gracefully between thick branches. Stop. Natsu suddenly spoke, prompting Neji and Sasuke to halt in unison. The group descended to the ground. Put me down. Shoyo patted Neji's shoulder. Thank you, Neji. It's nothing. Neji set Shoyo down, leaning him against the base of a large tree. Neji, Sasuke-kun, this is as far as you need to escort us. Natsu said with a small smile. Beyond this point is the border patrol's jurisdiction. Will you two be okay on your own? Sasuke asked, frowning at Shoyo's limited mobility. We'll be fine. My injuries aren't severe. Natsu assured him. Alright, then. Take care. Neji nodded. We will. Shoyo raised his hand in response. Oh, Neji. Natsu retrieved a small scroll from her ninja pouch and handed it to him. The branch family members want to stay in contact with you. What's this? Neji opened the scroll. A summoning scroll? Yes, it's a hummingbird summoning scroll. Natsu explained. These birds are small, with minimal chakra. Even the Byakugan would mistake them for wild creatures. They're specifically trained for covert message delivery. These are the branch family's secret messengers, passed down through generations. Shoyo added proudly, giving a thumbs up. Understood. Neji bit his finger, signed his name on the scroll, and returned it. This way, we can keep in touch. Natsu said, putting the scroll away. Neji, Sasuke-kun, you should go now. She waved her hand. I'll bring my brother back safely. Don't worry about us. Shoyo smiled brightly. Neji, you're free now. I'm looking forward to seeing what you'll achieve. Yeah, I'll do my best. Neji turned to leave. Shoyo Natsu-san, I'll investigate the black market bounty on the Hyuga clan. Goodbye. Goodbye. Sasuke echoed, taking the lead as he departed. Goodbye, and take care. Natsu bowed toward their retreating figures. Without looking back, Neji followed Sasuke. Let's go too. Natsu turned to face Shoyo, squatting before him and extending her arms. Hurry up, clumsy brother. I'll carry you back. Hee, sorry for the trouble, Natsu-chan. Shoyo climbed onto her back. So heavy. Like a pig. Straining, Natsu stood up slowly with her brother on her back. Boo, so mean. Shoyo pretended to cry. Stop fake crying, you idiot. Natsu grimaced in disgust. Boo. Shoyo continued to whimper. Shut up. Thump. Natsu tilted her head back, hitting her brother's chin with the back of her head. MMPH. At $Shoyo clutched his mouth, tears streaming down his face. Humphrey. Natsu started running toward the borders of the Land of Fire. 2 days later, Sasuke and Neji successfully left the Land of Rain, crossing through the Land of Grass and entering the Land of Waterfalls. The two were traveling across an open field when a shadow passed over them. What's that? Neji activated his Byakugan, spotting a pure white giant bird in the sky. Akatsuki. Sasuke squinted slightly against the sunlight. It's the same duo who kidnapped Gaara. They've captured a female ninja. Neji observed the girl clutched in the bird's talons. Possibly the Seven-Tails Jinchuriki from Hidden Waterfall Village. Sasuke speculated. Should we do something? Neji asked. Leave them be. Sasuke smirked. My uncle's plan requires Akatsuki to gather all 9-tailed beasts. Neji looked surprised. What about Naruto? Humphrey, that guy has the 4th Hokage's protection. He'll be fine. Sasuke glanced at the distant bird. Besides, there are substitutes for 9-tails chakra. TCH. Neji's face darkened. They're coming back. Sasuke's expression shifted as the giant bird suddenly turned around, flying back toward them. He gripped the hilt of his katana. In that case, let's make them regret their decision. Ha ha ha. Deidara's excited laughter echoed from above. Hey, Sasori-san, look who we have here. The giant bird descended, stopping 10 meters above Sasuke and Neji. Hey. It's you, Itachi Uchiha's little brother. Deidara jeered. What luck, running into you here. Sasuke looked coldly at the two figures atop the bird. What do you want? Ha ha ha. You're pretty arrogant, kid. Deidara bent down. I heard you defeated Itachi. What happened to him? Did you kill him? That's none of your business. Sasuke's face remained expressionless. Fine. Deidara straightened, flicking his hair. Either way, capturing you will answer everything. Capture me? Sasuke raised an eyebrow. That's right, a mission from the boss. Deidara began molding clay in his palm. An Uchiha and a Hyuga. Excellent specimens. Sasori rasped. Be careful, Deidara. Don't damage them. Relax, the boss wants Sasuke Uchiha alive. Deidara said sharply. I'll take the Hyuga, then. Sasori leaped from the bird. Fine by me. The Uchiha is mine. Deidara threw a lump of clay downward. With a bang, the clay exploded into a four-winged bird that shot towards Sasuke. Crackle. Lightning sparked in Sasuke's right hand. Chidori sharp spear. The lightning extended, piercing the clay bird and continuing upward, destroying Deidara's bird. I've seen this trick before. Sasuke's Sharingan spun. It's worthless now. With a sharp motion, he cleaved the giant bird in two. Damn it. Deidara barely dodged, jumping in midair. Meanwhile, Sasori used his tail to retrieve the unconscious girl from the bird's talons. Chapter 215, Ha. Sasuke chuckled lightly, extending his right hand. An exaggerated blade of lightning formed, flipping as he pursued Deidara. Damn it. Though Deidara appeared flustered, his movements were composed. He threw another clay bird with precision. With a boom, the white clay bird expanded, grabbing Deidara by the shoulder and ascending into the sky. Sasuke remained unfazed, bringing the lightning blade down towards Sasori. At this moment, Sasori's nimble tail was wrapped around a female ninja, who appeared to be the Jinchuriki of the Seven Tails. The black face covering slipped off her face, revealing her wide-open mouth. Whoosh! 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 A storm of kunai and poison needles shot from Sasori's mouth, hurtling towards Sasuke. Simultaneously, numerous small white spheres rained down from above, covering both Sasuke and Neji's positions. TSK. Sasuke shortened the lightning blade in his hand, swinging it rapidly to deflect the kunai and needles. Neji, come here. Hearing this, Neji immediately used teleportation jutsu to move closer. Sasuke's eyes displayed intricate patterns as he formed hand seals the moment Neji approached his side. The white spheres on the ground transformed into simplistic clay spiders, swarming toward the pair in droves. From the sky, Deidara, now held aloft by his clay bird, also formed hand seals. Ha! Susanoo. Boom. 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 Explosions lit up the area in fiery flashes. A massive, half-formed purple skeletal figure appeared from thin air, shielding Sasuke and Neji effortlessly from the projectiles and explosions. Annoying. Let's end this quickly. Sasuke said impatiently, increasing the output of his ocular power. The enormous skeletal figure sprouted flesh and tendons. It donned thick armor and formed a massive bow and arrow in its hands. Amaterasu. Black flames erupted on Sasori, instantly burning away his robe. Even the massive shield on his back cracked under the intense heat. Kagatsuchi. Susanoo's bow ignited with black flames as it fired a massive arrow toward Deidara, who was now perched on his bird in midair. At that moment, Sasori, appearing in his red-haired, human-like form, burst forth from the ground. His right hand extended, connecting to Hiruko with fine chakra threads. Hiruko's tail detached automatically, and Sasori's right hand flicked, pulling the unconscious female ninja out just before the black flames consumed her. In the sky, Deidara once again abandoned his bird, narrowly avoiding the arrow. The white clay bird engulfed in black flames plummeted from the sky. Susanoo immediately drew another arrow and fired it towards Sasori. In response, Sasori swiftly unrolled a scroll, summoning the third Kazekage puppet. Magnet style, iron sand. A massive wave of black iron sand surged forward, compacting into a large cube in front of the black-flamed arrow. Boom. The arrow struck the cube, creating a powerful explosion. Black flames flared and split the iron sand apart. Deidara, riding a massive clay bird, flew by Sasori, who leapt onto the bird's back with the unconscious ninja and the third Kazekage puppet in tow. The clay bird swiftly ascended into the sky. TSK, this kid's getting more troublesome. Deidara muttered irritably, glancing at the massive Susanoo. Sasori? Let's go. Sasuke Uchiha isn't part of our mission. Sasori decided. The Jinchuriki is too valuable to risk. They're retreating? Neji asked, looking up at the ascending clay bird. What's their deal? Ha. Sasuke was furious. First, they come looking for trouble, and now they want to leave? Not that easy. Whoosh. Susanoo's bow fired another massive arrow at incredible speed. You brat, don't push your luck. Deidara yelled. Try my C2. With a boom, a massive clay dragon burst through the smoke, hurtling directly at the arrow. The dragon opened its mouth, releasing a smaller dragon. Deidara formed hand seals and shouted loudly. The larger dragon intercepted the arrow, exploding on impact, while the smaller one twisted and dove toward the ground. Sasuke reacted swiftly, using Susanu's disc-shaped bow to strike the smaller dragon midair. Meanwhile, several four-winged clay birds descended at greater speed, surrounding Susanu completely. Ha! Explosions erupted around Susanu, obscuring Sasuke's vision with smoke and fire. They're gone. Neji informed him, unaffected by the visual disruption. TSK. As the smoke and dust cleared, Sasuke retracted Susanu with a displeased look. Let's go. Glancing at the retreating clay bird, Sasuke turned decisively and continued eastward. You should have let me join earlier. Neji said, catching up. We might have been able to stop them. You wouldn't stand a chance against those two. Sasuke retorted bluntly. If you got captured, it'd be a liability for me. I wouldn't get caught. Neji scowled. I might not defeat them, but I could at least hold one of them off. Fine. Sasuke replied indifferently. Next time, I'll keep that in mind. As the team leader, you need to plan our strategies properly. Neji snapped. Instead of acting on impulse every time. I've always been like this. It's you who lacks synchronization with me. Sasuke retorted confidently. Synchronization takes time to develop. Neji argued. That's your responsibility as the leader. TSK, what a hassle. Sasuke waved off the idea. Fine, as leader, I'll delegate strategy planning to you. No way. You wouldn't even follow my instructions. Neji refused outright. Then what do you want? You're worse than Naruto. Sasuke shot back. At least that idiot can cooperate with me in battle. And you're worse than Lee. Neji countered. TSK. Humphrey. The two turned their heads away from each other in mutual annoyance. They walked in silence for a while. Eventually, Neji spoke again. Fine, I'll adjust to your style in future battles. Got it. A few more joint training sessions should do the trick. Sasuke replied. By the way, why is the Akatsuki after you? Neji asked. You're not a Jinchuriki. Humphrey. They're just trying to extract more information about my uncle. Sasuke said dismissively. Don't worry. They won't waste time specifically targeting me. We've already crossed paths with those two twice. Neji noted. This time was my mistake. Sasuke admitted grudgingly. Next time, I won't let them escape. Chapter 216, The sun was setting as Minato and Naruto walked toward Hidden Leaf Village from outside the village. Naruto held a leaf in his hand, but it crumbled in moments. It's still not working. Naruto threw the leaf stem away in frustration. Alright. Minato patted his head. Don't rush it. Let's head home for dinner. Darn it. At this rate, when will I ever catch up to Sasuke? Naruto shouted. Chakra nature training is like that. Minato patiently explained. The more impatient you are, the slower your progress. Humphrey. One more time. Naruto picked up another leaf. That's enough. Minato took the leaf away. You've been training hard with your shadow clones. It's time to rest now. Fine. Just then, Naruto's stomach growled loudly. I'm starving. He held his stomach. Let's go eat ramen. Alright. Minato chuckled and agreed. The two left the forest and entered the bustling streets of Hidden Leaf Village. Lord Fourth, Naruto. Shikamaru walked over with his hands in his pockets. Ah, it's Shikamaru. Naruto waved. Weird, why are you alone? Minato smiled and nodded in greeting. Is it strange for me to be alone? Shikamaru understood Naruto's meaning. Choji rushed home for dinner. Lucky him. I'm off to eat ramen too. Naruto rubbed his empty stomach. What have you been up to lately? Shikamaru asked, noticing Naruto's exhausted look. Naruto replied weakly. Ah, I've been training non-stop, working on chakra nature and cutting leaves with shadow clones. What a mess. Shikamaru wanted to say he understood, but only because of his intelligence, not Naruto's clumsy explanation. Gurgle Naruto clutched his stomach. Alright, go eat already. Shikamaru waved him off, unable to watch any longer. Naruto instantly regained his energy and grabbed Minato's arm, dragging him along. See you, Shikamaru. Still as impulsive as ever. Shikamaru sighed. Well, I should head home for dinner too. Ramen. Ramen. Here I come. Naruto dashed toward Ikiraku Ramen with Minato, coming to an abrupt stop at the entrance. We're here. He released Minato's hand and eagerly lifted the curtain. Old man Taki. Huh? Someone was about to leave the shop and almost bumped into Naruto. Who are you? A young man with black hair, white eyes, and two strands of hair framing his face examined Naruto. "You're the fourth Hokage's son? My name is Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto stepped aside. "Sorry, mister, I almost ran into you." "Mister." Hisashi Hyuga twitched slightly at the title. "Don't be rude, Naruto." Minato approached. "It's been a while, Hisashi." "Lord Fourth." Hisashi bowed politely. "No need for that." Minato scratched his head awkwardly. "I'm no longer Hokage." "Hyuga?" Naruto noticed Hisashi's eyes and exclaimed. "Ah, Byakugan. Are you related to Neji and Hinata?" "Not exactly relatives." Hisashi answered calmly. "Although we're all members of the Hyuga clan, we're more like clansmen than close kin." "If you're all Hyuga, how are you not related?" Naruto frowned in confusion but quickly waved it off. "Whatever, I don't get it. Ramen is more important." He dashed into the shop. "Old man Taki. One large miso ramen, please." "Sorry about Naruto's rudeness." Minato apologized. "Not at all." Hisashi quickly assured him. "Well then, I'll be on my way. Goodbye." "Goodbye." As Hisashi walked away, a complicated expression briefly crossed his face. Minato lifted the curtain and saw Naruto sitting at the counter, eagerly watching Taki prepare ramen, his excitement written all over him. This boy. Naruto's earlier behavior had been somewhat rude, but Minato couldn't bring himself to reprimand him. A child who had grown up alone in a sea of malice, yet did not become bitter or hateful, was more than enough to make him proud. After finishing their ramen, father and son strolled leisurely toward home. "Dad." Naruto looked up at the stars. "Why does the Hyuga clan have something like the caged bird seal?" Minato was surprised. "You've been thinking about that all this time?" "Yeah, I've always wondered why Neji joined Sasuke in defecting." Naruto scratched his head. "So I asked Kakashi-sensei and Sakura about it." Minato nodded. "Back during the Chunin exams 3 years ago, Neji was really angry about the caged bird seal." Naruto suddenly laughed. "But he was so annoying back then that I didn't care enough to understand." "Do you understand now?" Minato asked with a smile. Kakashi-sensei and Sakura explained it clearly. Naruto said seriously. "Turns out, the caged bird seal is really awful. Naruto, you can't only see its bad side." Minato said earnestly. "The Hyuga clan system may be harsh, but it also ensures the safety and stability of the clan." Naruto frowned. "Maybe, but I still don't like it." "No one would like such a thing." Minato patted his head. "Perhaps it started as a necessity for survival in the brutal world before the ninja villages were established." "Then why does Kakashi-sensei say many Hyuga members still support the caged bird seal?" Naruto was puzzled. "The times have changed, haven't they? If it were me, I'd want to break those rules. Though times have changed, the dangers for ninjas haven't gone away. And when a system has been in place for centuries, it becomes deeply ingrained, with many supporters, making it hard to change." Minato explained gently. "People tend to grow accustomed to things, and once they're used to them, they resist change, whether it's good or bad. Change brings fear." Naruto nodded vaguely, understanding a bit, though not entirely. "I still don't fully get it." He scratched his head in frustration. "But I think people should embrace change, just like the first Hokage did by founding Hidden Leaf Village." His eyes lit up. "Isn't it sad to stay the same forever?" Minato smiled warmly. "You've grown, Naruto." "Ah, the old me was just a loser." Naruto beamed. "I've always chased after change. That's why I want to become Hokage and earn everyone's recognition." "I believe you'll be Hokage one day, Naruto." "Of course." Ha ha ha. Chapter 217, After leaving Ikiraku Ramen, Hyuga Takuma took a shortcut toward the Hyuga clan compound. On the way, as he passed by a training ground hidden by trees, a small hummingbird the size of half a finger flew out of the bushes and darted into his sleeve. Without breaking his stride, Takuma continued walking. The tiny hummingbird left a small piece of paper in the pocket within his sleeve before disappearing as its summoning was undone. Quickening his pace, Takuma retrieved the paper and glanced at it briefly as he passed through a narrow alley. He then crushed the paper into powder with his fingers. Walking through a few quiet streets, Takuma arrived at the gates of the Hyuga clan compound. Looking up at the gradually darkening sky, he hurried directly to the main residence where the clan head's family lived. "Lord Hayashi," Takuma said, bowing his head and kneeling on one knee at the entrance to Hayashi's room. "Takuma, you're here," Hayashi said, sliding the door open and stepping out. "Rise." "Yes," Takuma replied, standing up and glancing at Hayashi. "You'll need to keep working hard," Hayashi said, his face wary as he turned back and re-entered the room. "Understood," Takuma replied, standing solemnly outside the door. Soon, The sound of light footsteps approached, and Hayashi's second daughter, Hanabi, came running up. "Lady Hanabi," Takuma said, bowing slightly. Hanabi glanced at the closed door and asked softly, "Is father inside?" Takuma nodded silently. Hanabi knocked on the door and raised her voice. "Father. Come in." Hayashi's voice came from within. Hanabi smiled at Takuma before sliding the door open and entering the room. Takuma remained silently on guard outside. Before long, several elders arrived together. Takuma bowed as they entered the room one by one, closing the door behind them. From the other end of the corridor, a faint sound caught Takuma's sharp attention. Turning his gaze, he noticed the clan head's eldest daughter, Hinata, timidly peeking from around the corner. Their eyes met, and Hinata quickly recoiled as if burned. Takuma sighed inwardly, bowing silently in her direction. It seemed the recent complex and severe situation had prompted Hayashi to make up his mind to begin formally training his successor. As for Lady Hinata, she had long since been relegated to the position of an abandoned pawn. The meeting dragged on for a long time, but due to the barrier around the room, Takuma could hear nothing from his post outside. When the meeting finally ended, the elders emerged first, their expressions heavy. It appeared the main family had received the news from the Hokage. Takuma studied his thoughts and began to ponder. The tension between the main and branch families within the Hyuga clan had remained hidden beneath the surface. Now, however, it seemed the Hokage intended to bring this conflict into the open. "Takuma." Hayashi's voice called from inside the room. "Enter." "Yes." Takuma replied, opening the door softly and stepping inside. "Lord Hayashi, what are your instructions?" Hayashi sat kneeling in the room, with Hanabi seated behind him, her head lowered. Gesturing, Hayashi said, "Sit as well." "Yes." Takuma replied, kneeling down to one side. After a moment of contemplation, Hayashi spoke. "The latest information indicates that the Hokage has obtained the technique to undo the caged bird seal. It was provided by Kaito Uchiha." "This?" Takuma looked up in shock. "Is this true?" Hayashi nodded. "The source is reliable. There's a high probability it's true." "Lord Hayashi, what should we do next?" Takuma asked, letting just the right amount of concern show on his face. Regarding the Hyuga clan's current situation, the Hokage has maintained silence. Hayashi said. However, her stance is not hard to deduce. Indeed. As Hokage, she is likely to favor the branch family. Takuma said softly. "That's right." Hayashi said gravely. "Since the second Hokage, each Hokage has worked tirelessly to erase the independence of the major ninja clans. In the past, the Senju and the Uchiha clan stood at the forefront. Now, the Hyuga clan is the most prominent." Hayashi continued. "And the existence of the caged bird seal has made it impossible for the Hokage to interfere with our clan's power." Takuma bowed his head even lower. Hayashi wasn't finished. The incident with the Hidden Clouds village delegation and Hayashi's sacrifice were nothing more than a warning from the third Hokage. But the current situation is even more severe. Hayashi stood up, and the room seemed to fill with an oppressive energy. The caged bird seal is the cornerstone of the Hyuga clan's stability and continuity. And now, so many people want to destroy it. "Takuma," Hayashi said, stepping toward him. "Yes." Takuma responded, bowing deeply. "I need to secretly contact the heads of all the major families in the village." Hayashi said coldly. "You are one of the most skilled among the younger generation of our clan. I'm entrusting this task to you." "Yes, I will complete the mission." Takuma answered without hesitation. "Good." Hayashi placed a stack of envelopes in front of Takuma. "Go." "Yes." Takuma picked up the letters, tucked them into his robe, and quickly left the room. "Hanabi," Hayashi said, turning to his younger daughter. "Father?" Hanabi looked up, her eyes slightly confused. Hayashi's face remained expressionless as he looked at her for a moment. Finally, he gave a simple order, "Go rest." "Yes, father." Hanabi stood up, bowed her head, and left the room. As the door closed, Hayashi sat down again. This time, he did not hide the weariness on his face. His brows furrowed deeply, and he supported his forehead with one hand. Outside the room, Hanabi walked slowly at first. But as she turned a corner in the corridor, she broke into a run. From behind one of the pillars, a figure emerged, and Hanabi ran toward her with joy. "Sister." "Hanabi." Hinata embraced Hanabi, her expression filled with concern. "How are you? Are you tired?" Hanabi shook her head silently. "I'm sorry," Hinata said, stroking Hanabi's head with guilt. "It's all because I'm useless that you have to face these things at such a young age." "Sister." Hanabi looked up, her gaze intense. "This isn't your fault. You never blamed me for taking the position of the clan heir, and yet you're always worrying about me." Hanabi forced a strained smile. You're always so selfless. Even though it's father who. Stop. Hinata covered Hanabi's mouth, pulling her into her room. Hanabi, you mustn't blame father. Hinata said softly. It's my own fault for disappointing him. Tears welled up in Hanabi's eyes. Why? I've known for a long time. During our sparring, you deliberately held back so you wouldn't hurt me. That only proves that I'm unfit to be a proper ninja, Hinata said with a hint of sadness. Things are better this way. You're much more suited to be the clan head than I am. Sister. Hanabi leaned closer to whisper in Hinata's ear. Don't worry. Maybe, in the future, the Hyuga clan will no longer have the caged bird seal. Before Hinata could react, Hanabi hugged her tightly again. I will protect you, sister. Chapter 218, Mount Hama, Uchiha Residence. Kaito walked leisurely through the garden with Yorai, his hands tucked into his sleeves. Both wore Gaeta sandals, their footsteps echoing a rhythmic clack on the stone path. I feel like I've been doing nothing for days again. Kaito said lazily. Humphrey, isn't it nice to rest for a while? Yorai replied, brushing her hand over a plum blossom branch. Busy days are still ahead of you. Ha. Kaito covered his mouth as he yawned, then lowered his hand. Maybe I've just gotten used to being busy. Days like this feel too dull. Suit yourself. Yorai leaned closer to the branch to sniff the blossoms, then turned her head to give him a teasing glance. Not that I could stop you from doing what you want. Of course not. Kaito chuckled and reached out to pat her long hair. Ms. Yorai is my guide, after all. Humphrey. Yorai tilted her head proudly, her expression triumphant. At least you remember. Of course I do. Kaito raised his head to gaze at the starry sky. Even the stars' paths record the fate of our meeting. Cough, cough. Yorai's face instantly flushed as she slapped Kaito on the back. What's with you, Kaito? Since when did you become so good at sweet-talking? Kaito looked back at her, puzzled. What? I was just telling the truth. He turned fully to face her, his gaze softening. Back then, even though Miss Chiri was by my side as I grew, giving me confidence in my uniqueness, I still hadn't found any direction. His eyes grew even gentler. Maybe spiritual power could have helped me gain something on my own, but without the inheritance preserved here in Mount Hama, I would never have come this far. Thank you, Yorai. He took her hand. You found me, guided me here, and showed me a new world. Blushing, Yorai looked up at Kaito's earnest gaze, smiled, and nodded. No need to thank me, Kaito. You're special. Even without me, fate would have led you to a path of guardianship. Ahem. Seems like I've interrupted something. A sultry female voice suddenly interrupted from a nearby tree. Both Kaito and Yorai turned to look. A flower spider, no larger than a palm, was dangling from a thread of silk, slowly descending from the branches. Kiji? Yorai tilted her head. What is it? You forgot? Kiji clicked her tongue. Tonight's an important occasion. Yorai thought for a moment before realization dawned on her. Ah. I remember now. I'll head over right away. Humphrey. Hurry up. I'll be waiting. As soon as Kiji finished speaking, the spider shrank and began weaving a web quietly. Sorry, Kaito. Yorai said apologetically, smiling. I have to go. What's happening? Kaito released her hand and looked at her curiously. A gathering of female yokai. Yorai smiled faintly. I'll see you tomorrow. With that, she lightly leaped over the garden wall and vanished. Kaito raised an eyebrow, chuckled, and turned toward the rear courtyard. After passing through dense greenery, two figures moving with incredible speed came into view. Clang. Sparks flew as swords clashed. Madara and Izuna were locked in a pure display of sword art. Chiri was seated on the veranda, watching the match intently. Kaito strolled over to the veranda, stepping barefoot onto the wooden floor to sit beside Chiri. Chiri's Sharingan spun lazily as she continued observing the duel. Without turning her gaze, she asked. What brings you here, Kaito? Where's Yorai? Speaking of which. Kaito replied, his eyes on Madara and Izuna's fight. Why aren't you at the female yokai gathering tonight, Ms. Chiri? I'll go after this match. Chiri said softly. I don't want to miss it. Ah. Kaito nodded in understanding. Miss Chiri is a swordswoman as well. Chiri smiled warmly. But my sword art can't compare to Izuna's. Kaito, though lacking in swordsmanship himself, had a knife for skill. He agreed. In terms of pure sword art, even Madara can't match Izuna. Izuna only surpasses Madara in this one area. Chiri remarked wistfully. Madara is exceptional in every way. Clang. In the courtyard, the two brothers clashed again, sparks flying from their blades. Madara used his greater strength to press down Izuna's blade decisively. That's enough for now. Madara said, sheathing his sword and turning toward the veranda. I'll head to the gathering then. Chiri said before disappearing from her spot in an instant. Kaido clapped his hands with admiration. As expected of Madara-senpai. Even though your swordsmanship isn't as refined as Izuna-senpai's, you still managed to overpower him with other skills. Humphrey. Izuna grumbled, walking over and casting an irritated glance at Kaido. Swordsmanship is one thing, but combat is another. Madara said, leaning back casually against one of the veranda pillars. Izuna still has some way to go. Yes, I understand. Izuna replied, sitting upright next to him. Kaido. Madara said, turning his gaze toward him. You seem quite free lately. I haven't had much to do. Kaido replied lazily, leaning against the wall. By the way. Izuna suddenly perked up. What's the situation with the Hyuga clan over in Hidden Leaf Village right now? How should I know? Kaito said indifferently. Whatever it is, it doesn't concern me. TCH. Izuna eyed him suspiciously. Don't act clueless in front of me. You've been scheming from the start. Turning to Madara, Izuna explained. This kid influenced Sasuke, who then defected with that Hyuga boy, triggering this whole chain of events. He even handed over the technique to undo the caged bird seal. And now, he's pretending he has no idea what's going on. You make me sound like some kind of master manipulator. Kaido protested loudly. Spill it. Izuna insisted, locking eyes with Kaido. Alright, Kaito said, raising his hands in mock surrender. At first, I only wanted to trace the Hyuga bloodline to gather more intel on the Otsutsuki clan. Later, I discovered that the caged bird seal had hidden connections to the moon, so I decided to eliminate that factor. I see. Izuna nodded, his tone less accusatory. Then you must know what's happening with the Hyuga clan now, right? The Hyuga's internal conflicts are still below the surface. Kaito admitted. I've been monitoring Hidden Leaf Village through a paper doll clone placed in the Uchiha cemetery. He allowed himself a smug smile. The barrier covering the cemetery isn't just for defense, after all. So, you've been adding fuel to the fire too? Izuna quickly deduced. I've only passed along a few messages. Kaito said, smirking. Tsunade, as Hokage, is still too indecisive. I'm merely helping her make up her mind faster. Chapter 219, Passing on Information? Izuna seemed to have realized something. Did you secretly spread the news to the Hyuga clan that the Hokage possesses the technique to undo the caged bird seal? Kaito nodded in confirmation. A few days ago, I passed the information to the branch family, and today, I shared it with the main family. Hey. Madara chuckled knowingly. I see. Izuna said with understanding. The main family will likely take action immediately, but they won't realize that the branch family already has a head start. The conflict within the Hyuga clan should surface tonight. Kaito said with a sly smile. Izuna also smiled coldly. Your goal is to eliminate the caged bird seal, isn't it? What if the main family ultimately wins this struggle? I've already given the branch family a significant advantage. Kaito replied, his smile fading into a serious expression. If they still lose despite that, then they're simply too useless. Hearing this, Madara finally glanced at Kaito with an amused expression. It's not that simple. Hidden Leaf Village's foundation lies with the ninja clans, and in situations like this, ninja with clan backgrounds will naturally side with their own family. It seems Madara-senpai has figured it out. Kaito said, locking eyes with Madara. That's correct. The Hyuga main family has already started reaching out to other ninja clans in secret. Madara leaned back lazily. Looks like the people the Hyuga main family sent are unreliable. How dull. That's unavoidable. Izuna said with a gloating smile. The Hyuga clan has always been rigid and conservative. The main family is so accustomed to being above everyone else that they probably can't imagine having branch family spies among their ranks. The caged bird seal allows the main family to control the life and death of the entire clan without any difficulty. Such power is too absolute and inevitably corrupting. Kinda remarked. How boring. Madara muttered. Clearly uninterested in the affairs of the Hyuga clan, he leaned lazily against a column. However, his sharp gaze soon shifted back to Kaito. What's the point of playing petty games with the Hyuga clan? Why not go directly to the moon and investigate? Madara-senpai must be getting restless. Kaito said knowingly. We'll definitely need to visit the moon eventually. Then what are you waiting for? Izuna chimed in, siding with Madara. I suspect Hamura Otsutsuki, the younger brother of the Sage of Six Paths, might still be guarding the moon. Kaito explained. I don't want to provoke him until we're fully prepared. TCH. Izuna muttered. Then why did you let Nagato escape the other day? I was careless. Kaito admitted awkwardly. Hey, I knew it. Izuna said, looking at him with disdain. And you used Itachi survival as an excuse. I don't really care whether Itachi lives or dies. Kaito said indifferently. I'm just worried Sasuke might regret it later. So when are you going to deal with Nagato again? Izuna pressed. I need to make careful preparations. Kaito replied after some thought. Nagato still has a role to play. Then stop wasting time. Can't you see brother is already bored? Izuna scolded him relentlessly. Fine, fine. Kaito groaned, clutching his head. I'll get to work right away. With that, he stood up and hurried off. Izuna watched his retreating figure with a smug humphrey. While Madara chuckled at the scene, his usually stern demeanor softening momentarily. Hidden Leaf Village late at night, the Hokage's office remained unusually bright, with people coming and going. Inside a spacious conference room, Tsunade sat at the head of the table, her expression grim as she watched people file in one by one. The leaders of Hidden Leaf Village's major clans took their seats without speaking. The vast room was shrouded in an eerie silence. Finally, Shibuya Barame, the head of the Barame clan, entered and closed the door behind him, breaking the heavy atmosphere with the sound. Tsunade waited for Shibuya to bow silently and take his seat before speaking. It's late. What's the reason for this gathering? The clan heads exchanged glances but said nothing. After a long pause, Tsuma Yuzuka, the only female clan leader present, broke the silence with her characteristic bluntness. Hokage-sama, this meeting was called by Hayashi Hyuga. She turned to Hayashi, seated at Tsunade's left. Hayashi, since you brought us all here, you should explain yourself. Indeed, Hayashi called us together. Another clan head added. Has something happened within the Hyuga clan? Someone else asked. Hayashi, please clarify. The others echoed. Tsunade's gaze settled on Hayashi. Hayashi, what is the meaning of this? Feeling the weight of all the focused stares, Hayashi took a deep breath and slowly rose to address the room. Lady Hokage. He bowed to Tsunade with a standard posture. I have gathered all the clan leaders here tonight to ask Lady Hokage a question. Oh? Tsunade asked calmly. What question requires bringing everyone together so late? When the Hidden Leaf Village was founded, our ancestors, grateful for the first Hokage's pursuit of peace, led our families to join, in order to escape from the years of cruel war and to look forward to the future of Hidden Leaf Village. He spoke slowly, his gaze sweeping over the others, receiving nods of agreement from everyone. Finally, his eyes met Tsunade's. At the beginning of the village's establishment, as the representative of the village, the first Hokage, Lord Hashirama, and the great ninja clans reached an understanding. The village would not interfere with the internal affairs of the clans. Tsunade's brow twitched slightly, and she spoke expressionlessly. That is true, but what are you trying to say? I only wish to ask clearly. Hinata Hayashi's attitude was always respectful but firm. As the fifth Hokage and the granddaughter of Lord Hashirama, will you continue to follow the understanding reached by Lord Hashirama and our ancestors? Is that all you wanted to say? Tsunade asked, barely holding back her anger. Yes. Hayashi bowed again respectfully. I apologize for any offense caused. Oh? Tsunade asked, her expression serious. Let me ask you, Lord Hyuga, when have I ever interfered with the internal affairs of the great ninja clans as Hokage? Hayashi bent again. I only wish for Lady Hokage to make a promise for the future, not to criticize any past actions. Tsunade watched Hayashi, who was still bowing, and felt her anger rising. If I have not broken the rules, why have you gathered everyone to issue a warning? At that moment, she realized her plans and strategies had probably been exposed. Who was it? Was it the Hyuga clan that had planted spies in their ranks, or was it Minato or Kaito? This matter had clearly caught her off guard, and there was no time left for careful planning. Chapter 220, under Tsunade's piercing gaze, Hayashi Hyuga finally stopped beating around the bush. He raised his head, his words now revealing his true intentions. Lady Hokage, the Hyuga clan system has always been this way. Recently, due to Neji Hyuga's defection, there has been some minor unrest within the clan. I ask that you allow me to handle this matter personally. Oh? Tsunade chuckled angrily. Are you implying that I interfered in the internal conflicts of the Hyuga clan? She had only been observing in secret. Sure, she had plans, but she hadn't even started to act yet. This Hayashi. How could he be so overly cautious and sensitive? Lady Hokage. Hayashi, now visibly frustrated, bluntly stated. There are rumors that you have mastered the technique to release the Hyuga clan's caged bird seal. Without your approval, how else could such classified information have reached my clan? Damn it. Tsunade's face immediately darkened. Just as she suspected. Impossible. She denied firmly. I did indeed obtain the release technique, but that was delivered to me voluntarily by Kaito Uchiha due to Neji's defection. How do you know this isn't just another attempt by him to sow discord? If that's the case, Then Lady Hokage should have informed me immediately upon acquiring the release technique. After all, this is of utmost importance to the Hyuga clan. Hayashi's tone remained calm, but his words were unyielding. Enough. Sit down. Tsunade slammed the table and spoke forcefully. The materials delivered by Kaito need to be verified for authenticity. Moreover, as Hokage, I've done nothing wrong and certainly don't need your explanation. Apologies, Lady Hokage, for my offense. I only hope you will adhere to the traditions left by Lord Hashirama. Hayashi said a few more conciliatory words before finally sitting down. Tsunade ignored him and scanned the room, observing the expressions on everyone's faces before speaking again. What are your opinions on this matter? Lady Hokage. Shikaku Nara said unhurriedly. May I ask if the materials delivered by Kaito have already been verified? Tsunade's expression softened slightly as she replied. Not yet. The release technique for the caged bird seal in those materials is incredibly complex, requiring extremely precise chakra control. Moreover, she turned to Hayashi again. Without the cooperation of Hyuga clan members, I can't confirm its authenticity. At the end of the day, this is an internal matter for the Hyuga clan. Hayashi once again exchanged glances with others in the room, seeking their support. As the head of the Hyuga clan, I hope Lady Hokage will hand over the materials to me. For a moment, many in the room began nodding. Indeed, it seems more reasonable for Hayashi to handle it himself. Family matters shouldn't be managed by the village. Lady Hokage, please agree to Hayashi's suggestion. When we joined Hidden Leaf Village, Lord Hashirama guaranteed the clan's rights. It worked. Hearing the growing support, Hayashi kept his head down to avoid meeting Choza Akimiki's gaze and subtly smirked. It will be a mistake. A sudden voice of dissent broke through. Hayashi immediately raised his head, looking toward the source. It was Shikaku Nara. Hayashi's face darkened as he couldn't hold back. Shikaku, what insights do you have? Seeing Shikaku step forward, those who had just voiced their support for Hayashi were momentarily stunned. Everyone turned their attention to Shikaku, Inoichi Yamanaka, Choza Akimiki, and even Asuma Saratobi. The Inoshikacho trio always acted together, and combined with their close ties to the Saratobi clan, their influence in Hidden Leaf Village was significant. It seemed this issue was far from settled. The room filled with murmured discussions. Everyone, please calm down. Shikaku spoke again, and the room fell silent. This issue. Shikaku met Hayashi's furious gaze head-on, unfazed. This matter concerns only the caged bird seal of the Hyuga clan and not the bloodline limit or secret techniques of any clan. These are distinct matters and shouldn't be conflated. You're twisting the argument. Hayashi interjected forcefully. The caged bird seal is the foundation of the Hyuga clan. It's a traditional system that ensures the clan's stability and continuity. This tradition cannot be altered. Despite Hayashi's aggression, Shikaku remained unmoved, countering. Traditions can change with the times. It's not impossible. I've said it. Hayashi shot up from his seat, clenching his teeth. This is an internal affair of the Hyuga clan. Well. Kakashi, sitting opposite Hayashi, suddenly lifted his eyes. It's no longer entirely an internal matter. You. Hayashi was stunned by Kakashi's unexpected comment, momentarily at a loss for words. The entire room turned their eyes to Kakashi in astonishment. As the sole remaining member of the Hatake clan, Kakashi had always maintained a detached stance regarding village and clan affairs. What had prompted him to speak up now? Hayashi cursed inwardly, staring at Kakashi for a moment before turning to Tsunade at the head of the room. It must be Tsunade's doing. Kakashi would never intervene in such matters unless directed by the Hokage. How is this not an internal matter of the Hyuga clan? Hayashi demanded, glaring at Kakashi with burning anger. Everyone here, as members of their clans, are also shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. Being a Hidden Leaf Village ninja is our shared identity. Despite Hayashi's heated gaze, Kakashi remained composed, speaking at an unhurried pace. The existence of the caged bird seal places the life and death of Hidden Leaf Village ninja from the Hyuga clan under the control of one person. This is irresponsible towards the village. Kakashi stated firmly. Exactly. Shikaku agreed. As Hidden Leaf Village ninja, we must abide by the village's rules and regulations. It is unacceptable for one individual to hold the power over the survival of so many Hidden Leaf Village ninja. This has been the Hyuga clan's tradition for generations. Hayashi's face darkened as he turned his sharp gaze to Tsunade. Even the first Hokage did not question it at the time. Hayashi, sit down for now. Tsunade said, her mood having significantly improved. Her tone softened. This matter requires further discussion and consideration. Perhaps out of envy or self-interest, several other clan heads chimed in to mediate. That's right, Hayashi. Don't be so hasty. We can discuss this thoroughly. Hayashi, I'm sure the Hokage will provide a resolution that satisfies everyone. There's no need to get overly agitated. Honestly, I've always felt your so-called caged bird seal is inherently unfair. Hey, don't pour fuel on the fire. Let's discuss this calmly. Hayashi felt a tightness in his chest. He took a deep breath and reluctantly sat back down. Hokage-sama, he said, refusing to back down entirely. The internal affairs of the Hyuga clan do not require the intervention of the Hokage or anyone present here. Chapter 221, when Hayashi's firm words were spoken, the room fell into silence. Hokage-sama. Shikaku Nara turned to Tsunade. What do you think? Tap, tap, tap. Tsunade's fingers drummed slowly on the table. Her face was composed, and she said nothing. For a moment, the room remained silent. The sound of Tsunade's tapping echoed like a rhythmic beat on Hayashi's heart. Despite his usually composed demeanor, his expression grew darker. Both Hayashi and Shikaku, as well as Kakashi, have valid points. Tsunade finally said after a thoughtful pause. Let me make it clear first. As Hokage, I have no intention of interfering in the internal affairs of the clans. At this, some faces in the room changed subtly, while others remained calm, waiting for Tsunade's next words. Hayashi restrained himself from speaking and kept his mouth tightly shut. As for the current situation in the Hyuga clan, Tsunade said, looking directly at Hayashi's pale face. I will ensure that neither I nor anyone here interferes. Hayashi's expression didn't relax, knowing that Tsunade's stance was contrary to his. She surely had more to say. As expected, her next words made his heart sink completely. The Hyuga clan, both the main and branch families, are Hidden Leaf Village shinobi. As Hokage, I cannot favor one over the other. Tsunade declared with authority. Therefore, I will safeguard the information provided by Kaito Uchiha. It will remain under strict protection, and we'll only decide what to do with it once the internal conflict in the Hyuga clan is resolved. This. Hayashi lowered his head to hide his grim expression. Was she planning to watch the Hyuga clan tear itself apart and then award the information as a prize to the victorious side? No matter the outcome, the Hyuga clan would suffer great harm. What does everyone think? Tsunade asked, her gaze sweeping across the clan heads present. The Hokage is correct. Shikaku immediately supported her. As long as the internal unrest within the Hyuga clan does not affect the village's larger interests, it is not our place to interfere. Indeed. Kakashi chimed in. I misspoke earlier. Whether or not the caged bird seal should exist ultimately depends on the opinion of those involved. Let the Hyuga clan resolve this internally before reporting back to the Hokage. Until the Hyuga clan reaches a consensus, this matter should not be decided by the Hokage. Asuma added, a cigarette unlit in his mouth. After all, this is an internal family matter. With the three of them speaking, the others exchanged glances but remained silent. Hayashi sat with a visible air of suppressed anger, his thoughts unreadable. Among the people present, someone's mind began to turn. The Shimura clan, ever since Denzo's death, had fallen into a sharp decline. Once, the Shimura clan, though not prominent in name, held a significant presence within Hidden Leaf Village. As clan leader, Denzo had wielded great influence, supported by Koharu Uchiha and Hamura Mitakato, his fellow counselors with ties to commerce. Quietly, they had placed their forces in key positions across Hidden Leaf Village's internal departments. Though these positions often remained inconspicuous, they became formidable in critical moments. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, tolerated his old comrades not only out of friendship from their youth but also due to the power they wielded. Often, he had no choice but to compromise. Unfortunately, Denzo's death had been anything but honorable, completely ruining his reputation. The other two counselors had been bedridden and unable to contribute. During that period, Hidden Leaf Village's major clans, whether for vengeance or profit, eyed the leaderless Shimura clan hungrily. For reasons unknown, Tsunade, the Hokage, seemed content to let this happen. The bloody struggle for power remained hidden beneath the surface, but over the years, the Shimura clan had declined significantly. After Denzo's death, his successor as clan leader, Shimura Ikki, lacked the capability to turn the tide. He could only watch as the clan continued to falter under the predatory gaze of their rivals. If not for a few loyal ninja from Root who secretly provided assistance, the situation would likely have been far worse. As for the current Hyuga clan issue, Ikki initially had no interest. Denzo's influence had instilled in him a dislike for these prominent, ostentatious clans. After all, ninja were supposed to be people hidden in the shadows. But the current situation presented an opportunity. No matter what, the Hyuga clan remained Hidden Leaf Village's most renowned and powerful family on the surface. If he could extend a favor to Hayashi, the head of the Hyuga's main family, perhaps the Shimura clan could escape their isolated predicament. In Shimura Ikki's view, Tsunade holding the method to remove the caged bird seal was merely a way to manipulate Hayashi. Moreover, the information provided by that Uchiha brat, Lee, might not even be genuine. He couldn't imagine someone as devious as an Uchiha acting out of goodwill. The Hyuga clan's caged bird seal had existed for centuries. If the branch family members had the means to rebel, they would have succeeded long ago. There's no way it would have waited until now. Thus, in his mind, Hayashi, who was being manipulated by Tsunade, just needed to suffer some minor losses to safely weather this incident. In any case, even if the Hyuga clan faced suppression from the Hokage, their overall strength wouldn't be significantly harmed. Right now, Hidden Leaf Village couldn't afford any major losses. With this thought, as silence pervaded the meeting room, Ikki decided to break it himself. Ikki coughed lightly, drawing everyone's attention. Hokage-sama. He began, imitating the stern demeanor his elder Denzo used to adopt. I have a different perspective on this matter. The people in the room exchanged subtle glances, some with faint hints of disdain in their eyes. This guy actually spoke up. Most of them shared a similar thought. Denzo, that insidious old schemer, had stirred up trouble in the village for years, only to leave no competent successors behind. This must be karma. Oh? Tsunade narrowed her eyes slightly, gazing at the suddenly vocal Ikki. Please, speak, clan head Shimura. Yes. Ikki responded, maintaining his imitation of Denzo's imposing mannerisms. I cannot agree with the Hokage's approach. Tsunade's gaze grew colder, though her expression remained composed. Continue. Shimura Ikki let out a cold laugh. That kind of Uchiha fellow is an enemy of the Leaf Village. Furthermore, Neji Hyuga's defection is clearly linked to Sasuke Uchiha. He said arrogantly, casting a condescending glance at Hayashi. From my perspective, this is all part of the Uchiha's plot against Hidden Leaf Village. Hayashi lifted his gaze slightly, glancing at Shimura Ikki's self-satisfied clear-headed expression, and couldn't help but tug at the corners of his mouth with a hint of resignation. The meeting room remained silent. Tsunade continued to stare at Ikki. And so? That so-called information is likely fake. Shimura Ikki said, lifting his chin confidently. Moreover, the issues within the Hyuga clan are clearly the result of insubordination by the branch family. For the sake of the village's peace and stability, we should assist clan head Hyuga in swiftly quelling this rebellion. Chapter 222. When Ikki finished speaking, everyone in the meeting room was stunned. What kind of nonsense was that? If they followed his suggestion, wouldn't it mean both the Hokage and Hayashi would be slapping themselves in the face? Hayashi, however, simply stood up, bowed to Tsunade, and said, the fault lies with me today for troubling you, Hokage-sama, and all the other clan heads. Regarding the Hyuga clan's matters, I will defer to Hokage-sama's decision. I only ask that you safeguard that information. You have my word. Tsunade replied solemnly. Until this situation is fully resolved, no one but me in Hidden Leaf Village will have access to that document. Then I'm relieved. Hayashi said, standing upright and glancing at the others. Thank you for your understanding. I will personally visit each of you to express my gratitude later. You're too kind, Hayashi. It's no trouble. It's just a small matter. Everyone responded politely, brushing off his concerns. In that case, I'll take my leave first as there are matters within my clan that need my attention. Hayashi said. Without sparing a glance at Ikki, Hayashi turned and walked out of the meeting room. He understood that with some people backing the Hokage's decision, it was now impossible for his request to be approved. It seems I'll have to rely on myself. Hayashi thought grimly, his face dark. Even so, he remained confident. This wasn't a complete loss. After all, as long as the village didn't interfere, the branch family wouldn't dare stir up any major trouble while he still held control of the caged bird seal. One thing that idiot Ikki said was true. The caged bird seal had kept the Hyuga clan under control for centuries. There was no chance of rebellion now. Alright, today's meeting ends here. Tsunade said, not bothering to acknowledge Ikki's dark expression. Waving her hand wearily, she added. Everyone is dismissed. Yes, Hokage-sama. Everyone rose in unison and began filing out in small groups. Ikki sat stiffly in his seat, enduring the disdainful glances and even a few sneers from those passing by. Damn it. Ikki clenched his fists tightly, veins bulging on his face. Had the Shimura clan really fallen this far? His suggestion was perfectly reasonable, yet no one listened to it. The humiliation of being ignored was unbearable. Watching their retreating backs, a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Just wait. One day. Only after everyone had left the meeting room did he slowly stand, his face grim, and walk out. In the hallway, Kakashi strolled leisurely, covering his mouth as he yawned. I didn't expect you to speak up in a meeting like that. Azuma remarked, lighting the cigarette in his mouth. He took a deep puff, then clapped Kakashi on the shoulder with a teasing smile. "Well, I didn't really want to," Kakashi replied lazily, his eyelids drooping as if he were on the verge of falling asleep. Asuma didn't pursue the topic further. Smiling knowingly, he clapped Kakashi's shoulder again. "It's later than I thought," Shikaku said, stretching as he turned to face them. "How about grabbing a drink together?" Asuma's eyes lit up at the suggestion. He slung an arm over Kakashi's shoulder and started pushing him forward. "Sounds good. Let's go." Inoichi chuckled and turned back. "Come along, it's a rare opportunity for Shikaku. After all, it's not often he gets to enjoy this." "Henpecked husband, huh?" The group exchanged knowing smiles as if sharing an unspoken understanding. "I've been starving for a while now. Let's head to the izakaya. We can grab something to eat while we're there," Choza said with a hearty laugh. "Don't worry, Shikaku. Worst case, you can crash at my place tonight." The group gathered together and began heading out of the Hokage building. "I mean, Asuma's one thing," Kakashi muttered listlessly, trapped in the middle of the group. "But why am I being dragged along to this late-night gathering of married middle-aged men?" "Ahem. What do you mean, Asuma's one thing?" Asuma choked on his cigarette, voicing his protest. "I'm still a single, young man, you know. You and Kiranai are practically a done deal," Kakashi retorted lazily, glancing at him with half-lidded eyes. His hand instinctively moved toward his pocket, itching to pull out his favorite book. But when he noticed the dark night outside, he stopped himself. "Besides," Kakashi continued, looking at Asuma more intently, "you ought to have some self-awareness. With that beard, you could easily pass for someone Shikaku's age." "Tch." Asuma grumbled, rubbing his hand over his thick beard, momentarily lost for words. "Speaking of which, I remember Kakashi was considered the most handsome among the boys in your class," Inoichi said with a teasing smile. "It's a shame, though," Choza added with a grin. "Kakashi's worn that mask since he was a kid. Even we rarely get to see his real face." "Come to think of it," Shikaku said, taking a puff from the cigarette Asuma handed him. "A lot of the guys from your generation are still single. It was different for us. We all got married pretty young." "Hang in there, Kakashi," Asuma teased, clapping him on the shoulder. "You're the last of the Hotake clan. You should start thinking about carrying on the family line. Otherwise, the White Fang might show up in your dreams to scold you." "Exactly. You're one of the most well-known elite jonin in the shinobi world and not bad-looking either. How is it that you still don't have a girlfriend?" Inoichi chimed in, joining the banter. "Maybe it's because he's too busy," Choza speculated earnestly. "Do you want me to introduce you to one of the fuller-figured women in our clan? The Nara clan has plenty of exceptional unmarried women as well," Shikaku offered. "The Yamanaka clan is full of beauties, and they're very kind-hearted," Inoichi added, promoting his clan. "Actually," Asuma interjected, exhaling a puff of smoke, "the Saratobi clan also has a lot of beauties. Please, spare me." Kakashi groaned, his tone full of despair. "Hearing a group of men discussing anti-level matchmaking topics is just too much for me. The Ibarame clan's women are also excellent," said a low, somber voice from behind them. The group froze, their faces stiffening as they slowly turned around. There stood Shibuya Ibarame, wearing his signature sunglasses even at night, a pencil-thin mustache above his lips, and an aura of solemnity. Without a sound, he had joined them. "So, Shibi?" Inoichi asked with an awkward laugh. "When did you get here?" "How impolite." Shibi pushed up his glasses, a hint of annoyance in his tone. "Shikaku clearly invited me at the start, and I've been walking with you all this time." "Ha ha ha. Is that so?" Inoichi turned to look at Shikaku. "Ah, yes, I did mention it," Shikaku admitted, scratching his head. Truthfully, he had casually invited Shibi without expecting him to join. Even Shikaku was slightly unnerved by how stealthily Shibi had managed to stick with them unnoticed. "Come along, Shibi," Choza said warmly, pulling him closer to the group. "Humphrey." Shibi snorted lightly, his breath forming white puffs in the cold night air. He turned to Kakashi, once again asserting, "The Ibarame clan's women are exceptional too." Yes, I got it," Kakashi replied in exasperation. To shift the topic, he suggested, "It's freezing out here. Let's hurry to the izakaya and warm up with some drinks." "Let's pick up the pace, then," Asuma said, leaping onto a nearby rooftop. "Let's go." The others echoed. The group of middle-aged men playfully chased one another across the rooftops, their laughter fading into the long streets of the village. Chapter 223, Lord Hayashi, you're back. Seeing Hayashi's somber expression and hurried steps as he returned, Takuma, still standing guard at the main house, immediately bowed and greeted him. Notify the elders of an emergency meeting. Without breaking stride, Hayashi brushed past Takuma, pushing the door open with a sharp motion and closing it firmly behind him. Yes, sir. Outside the door, Takuma straightened up and vanished in a flash. Inside the room, Hayashi's face remained dark, his brows tightly knitted as he paced back and forth across the tatami mat. His mind raced as he considered the next steps to take to preserve the Hyuga clan's strength to the greatest extent possible. As the head of the main family, he held control over the caged bird seal, which gave him a significant advantage. Yet, even if he used force to suppress the dissenters, it would only amount to a Pyrrhic victory. In truth, the moment the main and branch families openly opposed each other, the clan had already lost. After all, the rebellious branch family represented at least half of the Hyuga clan's strength. While he could suppress their rebellion with force, he couldn't change their mindset. It was clear that these dissenters would not give up so easily. Still, he couldn't bring himself to abandon them entirely. Losing this force would weaken the Hyuga clan immediately, leading to even greater losses down the line. Damn it. Even someone as calm and composed as Hayashi couldn't help but curse. He wasn't blind to the fact that many in the branch family harbored resentment toward the main family, including his twin brother. In the past, these issues hadn't concerned him. No matter how discontent they were, they hadn't dared to openly rebel. When anyone showed signs of defiance, he swiftly punished them. Even when dealing with his own twin brother, he never hesitated. But when it came to Neji, that child was a true genius. Whether out of guilt for his brother or admiration for Neji's talent, Hayashi had always felt a pang of compassion for him. Yet he never imagined that Neji's defection would open Pandora's box. Overnight, the branch family's fear of the caged bird seal seemed to evaporate. They dared to stand before him and openly challenge his authority. Knock, knock. A knock at the door brought him back to reality. Lord Hayashi, the elders have arrived. Takuma said softly from outside. Hayashi composed himself, walked to the center of the room, and sat upright. Enter. Elders, please come in. Takuma gently pushed the door open. Lord Hayashi, the chief elder, somewhat disheveled, entered first. Was the matter resolved? Please take a seat. Hayashi said, shaking his head and gesturing toward the seats. The elders, noting his grave expression, felt a chill in their hearts. They entered the room silently and sat down in 2 rows. Takuma, guard the door. Hayashi instructed. Yes, sir. Takuma closed the door softly. My apologies for disturbing you all so late. Hayashi began, sweeping his gaze across the room. The Hyuga clan is in a precarious situation, and I hope we can quickly devise a solution. Does that mean? The chief elder began, only to cough violently in his urgency. Is the rumor true? The second elder interjected. At this, all eyes turned to Hayashi, their gazes intense. Hayashi nodded expressionlessly. How is this possible? The chief elder exclaimed, yanking out several strands of his beard in agitation. Even we, the Hyuga clan, can only apply and control the caged bird seal. Who could have developed a method to remove it? The information sent to the Hokage came from Kaido Uchiha. Hayashi explained further. From my observations, Tsunade seems very confident about it. It appears she has verified it to some extent. The second elder mused. Are you saying someone from our clan has cooperated with her in experiments? The third elder asked angrily, his eyes wide. The chief elder shook his head. My people have been watching closely. There's no sign of that. She doesn't need direct experiments. The second elder said enigmatically. As the foremost medical ninja, she's undoubtedly treated countless Hyuga clan members over the years. I trust she can assess the data's credibility quite well. That's plausible. Hayashi said with a dangerous expression. But ultimately, that information is just a bargaining chip in her hands. She doesn't need to confirm its authenticity fully. Today's negotiations were intended to unite other clans to pressure the Hokage into handing over the information. He continued. However, the Akimaki, Nara, and Saratobi clans firmly sided with the Hokage. Hayashi clenched his fists. In the end, the Hokage promised to safeguard the information strictly and to stay out of our internal matters. Until we present a unified stance. The fifth Hokage. Truly insidious. The chief elder said angrily, coughing again in his agitation. Elder brother. The fourth elder hurriedly patted his back. Calm down. The chief elder finally caught his breath. Apologies for my outburst. Hayashi waved a hand. Let's focus on what we should do next. It won't be easy. The second elder said, frowning. The dissenters now have leverage and will undoubtedly push further. We also cannot eliminate them completely. This must not be resolved through brute force. The chief elder said. A small punishment as a warning is fine, but a massacre will give the Hokage a pretext to formally intervene. Hayashi said coldly. The Hokage's actions have effectively handed those dissenters a legitimate platform to challenge the main family's authority. Lord Hayashi. The second elder said. For now, we must placate them, whether sincerely or otherwise. By presenting a unified stance, we can ensure the caged bird removal method disappears for good. We have no choice. The chief elder said icily. Once the attention on the Hyuga clan subsides, we can reevaluate our options. Hayashi nodded. Very well, we'll proceed as you suggest. First, we'll focus on controlling the key instigators among them. Knock, knock, knock. An urgent knock interrupted them. Takuma pushed the door open without waiting for a response. Lord Hayashi. Elders. He said, his expression unusually anxious. The clan's people. They've all gathered suddenly. Chapter 224, What did you say? Hayashi's eyes turned icy as he fixed his gaze on Takuma. Lord Hayashi, the clan members have gathered at the main house. Takuma replied, his expression equally troubled. What's going on? Hayashi shot up to his feet and glared at the elders. Something of this magnitude is happening, and you all know nothing about it? What about your subordinates? The elders, equally stunned, were momentarily speechless. Lord Hayashi. Takuma, still standing at the door, glanced outside anxiously. Please come out and take control of the situation. I understand. Hayashi turned away from the elders, his face dark as he strode out with an imposing air. I want to see what these people are up to. The elders in the room scrambled to their feet and followed close behind him. Hayashi walked briskly down the corridor. Under the glow of the lanterns, he saw the courtyard and the area beyond filled with clan members. He spoke first, his voice sharp and commanding. Why are you all here so late at night? The crowd fell silent, and every gaze turned to Hayashi. Lord Hayashi. The group parted, and a young man with a ponytail, clad in a jonin vest, stepped forward to face Hayashi. Hamura? Hayashi's eyes narrowed as he stared coldly at Hyuga Hamura, who stood at the front of the crowd. Did you organize this gathering? You could say that. Hyuga Hamura smirked faintly. Though everyone helped. Hamura. The chief elder bellowed from behind Hayashi. What do you think you're doing? What am I doing? Hyuga Hamura's smile faded, and he spoke seriously. I heard that earlier tonight, the Hokage and the clan leaders held a crucial meeting about the future of the Hyuga clan. The future of the Hyuga clan is for the clan head to decide. The second elder interjected, glaring at Hamura. We, the branch family, are here to assist the clan head. That's all. Hamura's lips curled into a mocking smile. The branch family? Hey, even among the branch family, there are differences. Don't lump us all together with people like you. Everyone already knows. He locked eyes with Hayashi, ignoring the dark threat in his gaze. The Hokage said that whether the caged bird seal should remain is a matter for the Hyuga clan to decide. We're merely here to express our true thoughts to the clan head. Oh? Hayashi's voice was chilling. And what are your thoughts? They should be obvious. Hamura removed his forehead protector and pointed to the seal on his forehead with his thumb. This thing has long outlived its purpose. That's not for you to decide. Hayashi, aiming to make an example, decisively formed hand seals. The traditions of the Hyuga clan, upheld for generations, are not yours to break. Ah! Hamura clutched his head and screamed in agony, collapsing to the ground. See that? The chief elder said sharply, his aged eyes sweeping over the crowd. This is what awaits you restless troublemakers. Yet, to his shock, the onlookers remained unmoved. There was no fear or panic in their expressions. Hey! Hamura, lying on the ground, struggled to lift his head. His bloodshot eyes glared at Hayashi, who continued to manipulate the seal, and he rasped. As clan head. You should listen to the majority of the clan. That's right. Another young man, wearing a headscarf and a jonin vest, stepped forward. The thoughts of the majority truly represent the Hyuga clan. Outdated traditions that have persisted for centuries should end. Hyuga Iroha. The second elder pointed an accusing finger at the newcomer. You insolent traitor, how dare you speak such nonsense? And what of it? Hyuga Iroha smirked. Clan head, am I next? Hayashi cast a cold glance at him. Without hesitation, Iroha collapsed beside Hamura. Ha ha ha. Iroha laughed bitterly, writhing on the ground. This is our clan head. Resorting to such methods. To force us into submission. Ah! Hamura screamed again. Hamura. Iroha. The nearby clan members crouched down to comfort the two, while simultaneously glaring angrily at Hayashi. Feeling the angry stares, Hayashi didn't stop manipulating the seals. His icy gaze swept over the courtyard as he spoke in a low voice. Do you want to try me too? No one answered. No one retreated. Everyone silently glared at Hayashi, their anger palpable. You fools. The third elder suddenly stepped forward, leaping to the edge of the corridor. He grabbed Hamura by the vest and growled. Where are they? He shook the sweating Hamura violently. Where are the clan members loyal to the main family? Hey. Hamura let out a weak chuckle. Blame yourselves for being too confident. What do you mean? The third elder tightened his grip. Don't worry. Hamura's smile was grim. After all, we're not like you. We won't hurt our own bloodline. Hearing this, Hayashi and the elders visibly relaxed. But the third elder continued pressing. What did you do to them? Deciding Hamura was too weak to answer, he turned to a nearby boy who had been tending to Hamura. Speak. Where are the others? Don't bully Shashu. Hamura interrupted weakly. And don't think you've won. The third elder noticed Hamura's gaze shift behind him and saw a strange smile spread across his face. Alarmed, the elder spun around. To his shock, he saw something he never would have expected. Standing silently behind Hayashi, Takuma extended two fingers and pressed them against Hayashi's neck. Ugh! Hayashi's eyes widened as everything went dark, and he collapsed. I told you, you were too confident. Hyuga Iroha's voice murmured near the third elder's ear. You thought the clan head's control of the caged bird seal meant he held our lives in his hands. Yet with so many of us gathered, he didn't even activate his Byakugan. Iroha's tone carried a trace of regret. But before the third elder could react, he followed Hayashi into unconsciousness. Takuma? The chief elder pointed a trembling finger at Takuma. You. Hey. Takuma calmly brushed his hand aside, then looked at Hamura and Iroha. Mission accomplished. The task is complete. Chapter 225, cough, cough, cough. The chief elder clutched his chest, his aged body heaving with labored breaths like a bellows. Elder brother. The fourth elder rushed to support him, glaring at Takuma. Takuma. We've always treated you well, and yet you betray us like this. The second elder, meanwhile, stood silently beside the unconscious Hayashi, supporting him. No one moved. The elders understood that in the current situation, any attempt to resist would be futile. Takuma ignored the fourth elder and turned his attention toward the darkened room in the distance. Lady Hinata. He called out loudly. Lady Hanabi must be with you as well, correct? The door creaked open, and a trembling maid peeked out. What are you trying to do? Both young ladies are already asleep. Takuma pointed to two jonin among the gathered crowd. Tepe, ensure the safety of the two young ladies. Let no one take advantage of the situation. Hyuga Pei and Hyuga Tepe stepped forward silently, taking up positions on either side of Hinata's room. Raising his voice again, Takuma declared. Young ladies, you have nothing to fear. No one will harm you. Then, what about my father? The door suddenly swung open, and Hanabi stepped out boldly. Hanabi. Hinata followed her out, her face full of worry as she placed herself protectively in front of her younger sister. Lady Hinata, Lady Hanabi. The maid's voice quivered as she glanced at the stoic Pei and Tepe stationed at the door. Please, go back inside quickly. Hinata, Ryugo, step aside. Hanabi slipped between Hinata and the maid, standing barefoot on the corridor floor. Her steady gaze swept across the courtyard and its gathered members before settling on Takuma. Uncle Takuma. She said in a composed tone. You wouldn't do anything to harm my father, would you? Of course not. Takuma looked at the calm Hanabi with a trace of admiration. You have my word, Lady Hanabi. As Hamura said, we will not harm any of our kin. Then I'm relieved. Hanabi suddenly broke into a sly smile. I know what you're after, but if your plan is only to confine my sister and me, isn't that a waste of my potential? What do you mean by that, Lady Hanabi? Takuma asked, his expression uncertain. Let me be direct. Hanabi placed her hands on her hips, her face brimming with confidence. With my father indisposed, why don't I, as the heir, lend you a hand? She turned to glance at the stunned Hinata behind her. After all, I'm not a fan of the caged bird seal either. Hanabi. Hinata's voice trembled, her eyes welling with tears as she wrapped her arms around her younger sister. No, you're too young. Don't get involved in this. Don't take risks for a useless older sister like me. Lady Hanabi. The three elders looked at the small girl in Hinata's arms, visibly pained. The courtyard fell silent as every eye turned toward Hanabi in shock. Takuma, equally stunned, collected himself and signaled to Hamura and Iroha. Let the clan head and the elders rest for now. Hamura nodded, gesturing to Iroha. Iroha and a few others stepped forward, surrounding the three elders. Chief elder, second elder, fourth elder. Iroha said with a respectful tone. Please come with us along with the clan head. Cough. This is treason. Treason. The chief elder pounded his chest, tears streaming down his face. You fools. Are you trying to destroy the Hyuga clan? Lady Hanabi is still a child. Who has corrupted her? His trembling gaze turned accusingly toward Hinata, and the other two elders followed suit. Lady Hinata. The fourth elder rebuked. How could you selfishly lead Lady Hanabi astray? I didn't. Under the piercing stares of the elders, Hinata turned pale, trembling uncontrollably. Stop it. Hanabi turned to glare at the elders. This has nothing to do with my sister. These are my own thoughts. Takuma gave Iroha another look, and Iroha swiftly struck, tapping precise points on the three elders. Let the elders rest. Iroha motioned to the others as the unconscious elders were carried away along with Hayashi. Hanabi gently patted Hinata's arm, freeing herself from her sister's embrace. She watched calmly as her father and the elders were escorted away. Uncle Takuma, Uncle Hamura, Uncle Iroha. She said with a mischievous smile. With my support as the heir, won't your actions carry more legitimacy? Takuma gazed at the 11-year-old Hanabi, recognizing the seriousness in her eyes. He walked to the corridor and knelt before her respectfully. Lady Hanabi. He said earnestly. May you lead the Hyuga clan to a brighter future. Lady Hanabi. Everyone in the courtyard turned and knelt in her direction. Hanabi's smile widened as she clasped her hands behind her back. I'll do my best. Under the cold winter moonlight, the 11-year-old girl stood at the forefront of the Hyuga clan. From a rooftop near the Hyuga compound, a group of slightly intoxicated men watched the scene unfold. So, this is the Hyuga clan. Shikaku murmured. They rebel against tradition, yet remain bound by it. That little girl. Inoichi's gaze softened as he observed Hanabi, who was younger than his own daughter. Can someone that young really bear the weight of an entire clan? She's a kind child. Choza said, patting his rounded belly. And this is her choice. Besides, the clan seems ready to support her. That child is indeed more suited to lead the Hyuga clan than Hinata. Asuma commented, shaking his head as he reflected on his student's demeanor. Hinata is too soft-hearted. Ha. Kakashi yawned. This is their family matter. Let's head back and get some sleep. Let's go. Shikaku glanced toward another rooftop. It seems there's no need for us to inform the Hokage. Yeah. Kakashi said, turning away. And don't think the Hyuga clan hasn't noticed us. Ha. Inoichi chuckled nervously. I hope they'll forgive a few drunkards. The group leapt off the roof and walked down the deserted street, arms around each other's shoulders. Shikaku probably won't get into his house tonight. Your wife won't let you in either. Ha ha ha, maybe I'll crash at your place. Their laughter faded into the night as a Buraimshibi, still standing alone on the rooftop, let out a cold snort before heading home with an air of irritation. Chapter 226, As the morning sun bathed the earth, all eyes in Hidden Leaf Village were secretly focused on the Hyuga clan. What had happened the previous night was shocking, and the Hyuga branch family had made no effort to conceal it from outsiders. By morning, the prominent figures of Hidden Leaf Village had already caught wind of the events. Early in the day, before the gates of the Hyuga compound even opened, Kurenai Yui stood outside with Kiba and Shino by her side. What's going on? Hinata's okay, right? Kiba asked, exhaling wide puffs of breath as he warmed his cold hands in Akamaru's fluffy fur. She's fine. Shino replied, bundled tightly as always. My father saw everything last night. It seems that Hinata's younger sister, Hanabi, is now in charge of the Hyuga clan. No way. Kiba's eyes widened. That little girl? Creak. The gates opened, and Hanabi was the first to step out. Humphrey. She glared at Kiba with a sharp gaze. You were just bad-mouthing me, weren't you? I wasn't. Kiba immediately shook his head in denial, adding an ingratiating smile. Woof. Akamaru wagged his tail enthusiastically at Hanabi as well. You better not have been. Hanabi gave him a fierce look before turning to Kurenai with a sweet smile. Teacher Kurenai, are you here to see my sister? Yes, where is she? Kurenai asked gently. She's at home. Hanabi said, glancing back at the people behind her. She probably didn't sleep well last night. Does your team have a mission today, Teacher Kurenai? No, we were just worried. Kurenai said with a smile. If Hinata's okay, then we'll leave for now. Thank you for your concern. Hanabi bowed politely. I'll let my sister know you came by. No need to trouble yourself. Kurenai smiled warmly again and left with Kiba and Shino. Hanabi watched them leave before turning to Takuma, who stood behind her. Uncle Takuma, let's go. Yes, Lady Hanabi. The group headed directly toward the Hokage's office with clear intent. Along the way, Many people discreetly or openly watched them. Under the gaze of countless onlookers, the 11-year-old Hanabi walked with a steady stride, her face adorned with a calm smile. Takuma and another guard, Iragi, flanked her protectively, their expressions a mix of pride and satisfaction. Deep in the northern seas, Mount Hama. Morning arrived later here than in the Land of Fire. Kaito emerged from his room, his hair a mess and his eyes half closed. Ha! Stretching lazily, he shuffled into the living room. Good morning, you two. He waved cheerfully at Madara and Izuna, who were sitting in the living room. The brothers glanced at him with cold expressions before resuming their quiet conversation. Feeling awkward, Kaito retracted his hand and wandered toward the kitchen. Good morning, Ms. Chiri. He greeted with a wave. Good morning, Kaito. Chiri replied with a kind smile, a spatula in hand. Go wash up. Breakfast will be ready soon. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Chiri. Energized by the response, Kaito dashed toward the washroom. Passing Madara and Izuna, he let out a dramatic huff. What's with him? Izuna muttered, watching Kaito's retreating figure. He's acting more childish by the day. Madara chuckled but said nothing, continuing their discussion. Big news. A clean and tidy Kaito soon plopped himself next to the brothers, bursting with excitement. There's big news from Hidden Leaf Village. Izuna shot him a withering look, indulging him with a half-hearted question. What happened? The Hyuga clan's internal conflict was pretty much resolved last night. Kaito announced, brimming with excitement. Oh. Izuna's expression remained indifferent as he turned back to his discussion with Madara. TCH, no fun. Kaito flopped onto the floor in mock despair. Kaito, breakfast is ready. Chiri called from the dining table, carrying a tray of food. Coming. Kaito immediately sprang up and raced to the table, sitting down with enthusiasm. Why does he get special treatment? Izuna muttered coolly. He could just eat out. Chiri, you're spoiling him. It's fine. Chiri said with a smile, setting the food down. I don't mind. Kaito shot Izuna a triumphant look, earning a cold smile in response. As Kaito ate quickly, he couldn't resist rejoining the brothers' conversation afterward. He detailed the Hyuga branch family's coup, describing Takuma's role as a double agent who leaked information while liaising with other clan leaders. The branch family had strategically allied with supportive clans and communicated through Kakashi to Tsunade. When Hayashi returned and held a meeting with the elders, the branch family executed a surprise attack, neutralizing the loyalists and eventually overpowering Hayashi himself. Kaito observed the events from the shadows using paper clones. Hayashi was too complacent. Kaito commented. The main family relied too much on the caged bird seal, but how many people can you really control with it? The branch family had always refrained from outright rebellion. Once they got serious, the main family didn't stand a chance. Madara raised an eyebrow, intrigued. And Hanabi? That little girl might have a stronger resolve than Sasuke. Kaito said with a grin. She's likely to ensure the Hyuga clan's future is in good hands. Interesting. Madara remarked, offering rare praise. It sounds like she's already surpassed her father in strength of character. By the way, Kaito asked curiously. Was there ever a marriage alliance between the Uchiha and Hyuga clans in the past? Madara and Izuna exchanged a glance before Izuna shook his head. Never, and it's unlikely. Izuna replied with a disdainful look. During the Warring States period, clans like the Uchiha and Hyuga prioritized protecting their bloodlines. They'd never risk it. That makes sense. Kaito admitted with a laugh. Things only loosened up after the village was founded, but even then, inter-clan marriages are rare. Kaito chuckled again. I was just wondering what kind of dujutsu a child with both Uchiha and Hyuga blood would have. Either Byakugan or Sharingan. What else? Izuna rolled his eyes. Maybe a fusion of the two? Kaito speculated. Don't tell me you're hoping Sasuke will marry a Hyuga. Izuna said with a skeptical look. After what he did by convincing Neji to defect? Just a thought. Kaito laughed nervously. When it comes to marriage, Sasuke will find whoever suits him best. Chapter 227. The sun steadily climbed the sky, and by noon, the 11-year-old Hanabi Hyuga finally emerged from the Hokage's office accompanied by a few members of the Hyuga clan. Uncle Takuma, Sister Iragi, let's go home for lunch. Hanabi said cheerfully, flashing a sweet smile. Sister? Iragi glanced smugly at Takuma before replying gently. Lady Hanabi, based on seniority, you should call me Aunt. Oh, those details don't matter. You look more like a big sister to me, Aunt Iragi. Hanabi responded, ignoring Takuma's slightly awkward expression as she grinned even brighter at Iragi. Hanabi. A familiar voice called out, and Hanabi turned to see Hinata rushing toward her with a worried expression. Sister. Hanabi waved energetically. Hanabi. Hinata stopped, panting slightly, and walked up to Hanabi, her eyes scanning her sister with concern. Are you okay, Hanabi? I'm fine, sister. Hanabi took Hinata's hand warmly. I just had a chat with the Hokage. Nothing to worry about. I'm glad to hear that. Hinata gave a nervous smile to the other clan members, tightening her grip on Hanabi's hand. I'm sorry, Hanabi. The flush from her earlier haste faded from her face, leaving her looking pale. This is all because I'm so useless. Big sister. Hanabi cut her off, raising her voice slightly and pulling her forward. Come on. I'm hungry. Okay. Hinata forced a small smile. Let's go home. Hinata held Hanabi's small hand as they walked through the streets, but her mind was a storm of thoughts. Father. Her once intimidating, awe-inspiring, and respected father had fallen. It was something Hinata, who had never dared to defy him, found hard to believe. Her feelings toward her family had always been complicated. As a child, things were simpler. But after Hanabi was born and their mother passed away, her stern father never gave her a sense of warmth at home. The heavy expectations and constant disappointments placed on her from a young age had suffocated her. That's why she often ran away from the clan grounds, even knowing she would face scolding and increased training when she returned. By nature, her personality wasn't suited to be the leader of the clan. She could never grow into the kind of person her father had envisioned. Each failure brought more disappointment, more scolding, and regretful sighs from her father, making her increasingly timid. When Hanabi began to grow, Hinata was happy. Her sister's presence brought her a sense of genuine familial affection she hadn't felt in years. But when the time came for a match to decide the clan heir, Hinata found herself unable to harm her sister. It wasn't just a difference in talent. It was a fundamental difference in character. Perhaps her father had seen this too, leading to his final disappointment in her. For the Hyuga clan, a timid clan head was unacceptable. Losing the match and her position as heir brought not only fear of her father's reproach but also a hidden sense of relief. In that moment, Hinata realized she had been running away all along. Avoiding responsibility, weighed down by others' expectations, with no goals of her own. At the same time, she felt a deep guilt toward Hanabi. She had avoided her responsibilities, leaving her young sister to shoulder the heavy burden of the clan. That guilt made it hard for her to face Hanabi. As she grew older and attended the ninja academy, their interactions became fewer. Beyond basic care and concern, Hinata had avoided learning too much about Hanabi's growth. When had Hanabi grown into someone so unfamiliar? Feeling the warmth of her sister's hand, Hinata glanced at Hanabi's confident smile. I really am a failure. Last night, when everything unfolded, Hinata could only tremble and hold on to her sister while Hanabi stood up bravely. Seeing Hanabi's small yet courageous figure in front of her had left Hinata feeling utterly ashamed. Hanabi had made a bold choice, one Hinata knew was for her sake. Despite being groomed as the next head of the main family, Hanabi had chosen to stand against their father. Hinata recalled something Hanabi had mentioned in passing recently and realized that her sister had likely been thinking this way for some time. Hanabi's confident speeches had quickly won over the clan, convincing them she could lead them into a new future. So small, yet so dazzling. And Hinata, weak and useless, could only stand aside, consumed by shame. Sleepless through the night, Hinata had spent the hours thinking. This can't continue. As the elder sister, always hiding behind her younger sibling was unbearable. But what could she do? Hanabi was clearly more suited to stand before the clan, with her confidence and radiance. Hinata felt both pride and worry for her sister. The clan was now under Hanabi's control, but with many members still out on missions, a backlash seemed inevitable. And their father? If he found an opportunity to turn the tide, could Hanabi withstand his fury? Feeling lost, Hinata had gone to her teacher and teammates that morning. After they left, Kurenai had a private conversation with her. I understand the situation, Kurenai said with a complicated expression. I'm sorry, Hinata, but I can't intervene in the Hyuga clan's affairs. It's okay. Hinata shook her head. I'm just worried about Hanabi. I see. Kurenai smiled gently. Years of teaching had given her insight into Hinata's thoughts. You're blaming yourself, aren't you? She said, brushing Hinata's disheveled hair. You want to protect your sister but feel powerless. Yes. Hinata clenched her fists. Hanabi. She's doing this for me, but I can't do anything to help her. There's always something you can do. Kurenai said with certainty. Think carefully, Hinata. You'll find the answer. Now, as she walked with Hanabi, Hinata smiled softly and tightened her grip on her sister's hand. Thank you, Teacher Kurenai. I've found my answer. Sister? Hanabi looked up at Hinata curiously, feeling the tightened grip. It's nothing. Hinata smiled warmly, just like their mother used to. Come on, you said you were hungry, right? Hanabi stared at Hinata's smile, tilting her head slightly. Something about sister feels different. Chapter 228, In the barren forest of falling leaves, Sasuke and Neji dashed through the trees, dry leaves swirling around them as the wind carried them to the ground. It's noon, Sasuke said, suddenly landing and halting his steps. He turned back. Let's take a break. Neji silently nodded, leaping down from the tree branch. Gather some leaves for a fire, Sasuke said, leaning against a tree trunk and watching Neji. All right. Neji smirked faintly, gray patterns appearing on his face as he steadied his stance and spread his arms. Sage art, gentle fist. He moved deliberately, executing a slow series of gentle fist techniques. As he did so, the sage chakra stirred the air, creating currents of wind that spiraled around him, expanding gradually. The dry leaves on the ground were swept into the air by the winds, circling around Neji. Over time, the leaves accumulated and began to form a compact sphere. Finally, Neji controlled the sphere of leaves with his hands and tossed it in front of Sasuke. Not bad, Sasuke remarked as Neji withdrew the sage mode markings. You've improved. Humphrey. Neji lowered his hands. Hurry up and light the fire. Got it. Sasuke flicked his fingers, igniting a spark of fire chakra that he tossed onto the pile of leaves. Smoke rose as the flames spread, gradually consuming the dry leaves. Neji crouched beside the fire, warming his hands. This kind of setting, Sasuke said, his expression nostalgic, is perfect for roasting sweet potatoes. Neji looked up, puzzled. TCH, of course you wouldn't get it. The Hyuga clan is so uptight, they'd never do something like this. Sasuke teased. He crouched down, pulling 2 red sweet potatoes from his ninja pouch and burying them in the burning leaves. The orange glow of the fire lit up his face, and a rare warm smile appeared. When I was little, I did this with the other kids in the clan. He stared at the flickering flames, his expression turning complicated. Too bad I can't even remember their faces anymore. Hey. Neji interrupted the sudden melancholy, rolling his eyes. The real question is, why are you carrying raw sweet potatoes around? Oh, these? Sasuke poked at the fire with a stick, adjusting the sweet potatoes. They were a gift from some little yokai I met when I left Mouto. Yokai, huh? Neji mused, his interest piqued despite himself. I can't believe creatures straight out of childhood fairy tales actually exist. Neither could I until I saw them myself. Sasuke admitted with a chuckle, recalling something amusing. Honestly, most aren't much different from summon beasts. It's just that the stronger ones can take on human form. I'd love to see them someday, Neji said, smiling. Speaking of summon beasts, Neji suddenly remembered something. I need to check for messages from the clan. He turned and bit his thumb, forming hand seals before slapping his palm into the air. Black runes spread outward from his hand. Ninja art, summoning jutsu. Poof. A puff of smoke revealed a tiny bird, no bigger than a finger, with a needle-like beak and fluttering wings that blurred into a haze. It hovered before Neji. So this is a hummingbird? Sasuke leaned in, activating his Sharingan to observe the tiny creature. I can't tell if it's a wild animal or a summon. Neji activated his Byakugan, flipping his wrist to present an open palm. The bird alighted delicately on his hand, chirping melodiously as it deposited a small scrap of paper before disappearing with another poof. Neji focused on the tiny writing on the paper. Sasuke peeked over his shoulder but quickly averted his gaze. Those characters are ridiculously small. Without the Byakugan, they'd be impossible to read. Ha ha ha. Neji suddenly burst into laughter, crumpling the paper into dust. Hey. What's the good news? Sasuke asked, curious. We won. Neji said, his face lighting up with joy. The branch family has won. Last night, they took control of the clan head, the elders, and their forces. That quickly? Sasuke crouched back down to tend to the sweet potatoes. With careful planning, of course it was quick. Neji composed himself and crouched beside him. Should I say congratulations? Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Neji shook his head. It doesn't matter. I can't go back anyway. True. Sasuke agreed, understanding his meaning. Your defection also ties into Hidden Leaf Village's situation. These should be done. Sasuke poked the sweet potatoes out of the fire, picked one up, and tossed it to Neji. Hot, hot, hot. Both of them juggled the scorching sweet potatoes between their hands. You actually eat this? Neji eyed the dusty, charred exterior with disdain. TCH, watch and learn. Sasuke held the potato by the base and peeled back the blackened skin, revealing the golden yellow flesh beneath. A sweet, warm aroma wafted up. He took a bite and exhaled hot air. Delicious. You've gotten livelier lately, Neji said, shooting him a deadpan look. What's wrong with that? Sasuke asked between bites. TCH. Neji began peeling his own potato. Don't tell me you've forgotten how insufferable you used to be. Ha. Sasuke rolled his eyes theatrically, which made Neji's Byakugan activate involuntarily. Speaking of insufferable, you weren't much better back then. I haven't changed as much as you. Neji said, biting into his potato. You're like a completely different person. Maybe. Sasuke shrugged. He knew the truth. Ever since resolving his conflict with Itachi, the burdens weighing on him had lifted, leaving him feeling lighter. By the way, Neji said, steering the conversation elsewhere. You'll never guess who's in charge of the Hyuga clan now. Judging by your shock. Hinata? Sasuke guessed. No, if it were Lady Hinata, I'd probably be even more surprised. Neji replied, shaking his head. Then I've got no idea. Sasuke said, tossing aside the last bit of potato skin. I don't know many people from your clan. It's Lady Hinata's younger sister, Hanabi Hyuga. Neji said, his expression complicated. Her sister? Never heard of her. Sasuke said, looking up. So what? You know how old Hanabi is? Neji asked, still visibly conflicted. How would I know? Sasuke shot him an exasperated look. She's 11. Neji said with difficulty. 5 years younger than Lady Hinata. 11? Sasuke raised an eyebrow, then smirked. Well, looks like your Hyuga clan is doomed. Chapter 229, Afternoon, Hokage Office, Hidden Leaf Village. After lunch, Tsunade, with nothing pressing to do, sat behind her desk, enthusiastically playing with a set of dice. The door creaked open, and with lightning reflexes, she stashed the dice into a drawer, assuming a serious expression. Shizune entered, carrying a stack of documents. Oh, it's just you, Shizune. Tsunade immediately slumped her shoulders and retrieved the dice, rolling them onto the desk and shaking them under her teacup. Lady Tsunade. Shizune placed the heavy pile of documents on the desk, glaring at Tsunade, who was clearly in a playful mood. All right, stop nagging. Tsunade didn't even look up as she lifted the teacup dramatically, revealing her role. TCH. Unhappy with the outcome, she slammed the cup back down. Unfazed, Shizune diverted her gaze from the teacup. Lady Tsunade. She reminded her. You must make a decision regarding the Hyuga clan issue now. Tsunade gave the dice another shake, revealed the result, and, frustrated, hurled the dice back into the drawer. Lately, my luck's been terrible. She muttered. Lady Tsunade. Fine, I get it. Closing the drawer, Tsunade looked up at Shizune. To be honest, I didn't expect this. She said with an intrigued smile. That little girl from the Hyuga clan is truly remarkable. Shizune recalled Hanabi Hyuga's bold demeanor during her negotiation at the Hokage's office and nodded in agreement. Miss Hanabi is indeed extraordinary. At first, I thought she was just a puppet put forth by the Branch family. Tsunade mused, tapping her fingers on the desk. But it turns out she is a girl with her own mind. The surprising part is that the Hyuga clan actually respects her. Thinking about a Hyuga member's behavior, Shizune nodded again. Tsunade got up, walked to the window, and leaned sideways against the sill. She's stronger than I was at her age. Tsunade said with a nostalgic smile. When the Senju clan was reduced to just me and Nawaki, all I wanted was for him to grow up happily. I never considered taking on the burden of our clan's legacy. In the end, I accomplished none of it. Tsunade sighed. I didn't carry the Senju name forward, and I couldn't protect my brother. Lady Tsunade. Shizune approached her gently, speaking with care. The Senju clan is different from others. It is different. Tsunade brushed away the sudden melancholy and smiled, looking at the bustling streets below. Both my grandfather and great-uncle used to say that the Senju would fully integrate into Hidden Leaf Village. This village, as it stands today, is the Senju clan's proudest creation. Both the first and second Hokage had extraordinary foresight. Shizune said, offering a cup of hot tea. Maybe. Tsunade held the tea to warm her hands, hesitating. I used to believe that too. But now that I'm older, I'm not so sure anymore. Shizune wisely chose not to respond, standing quietly by her side. My grandfather was undoubtedly a great man. Tsunade stared at the steam rising from her tea, her voice distant. His grand dreams inspired so many people. Even my great-uncle made it his life's mission to fulfill them. But they sacrificed too much for those dreams. To the rest of the clan, they might not have been good leaders. Sometimes I wonder if other Senju clan members were resentful of them. You're overthinking it. Shizune reassured her. Lord Hashirama is revered as the god of shinobi, and everyone in Hidden Leaf Village takes pride in him. You're right, I'm overthinking it. Tsunade's expression lightened, and she returned to her desk, teacup in hand. Sitting down, she picked up the top document from the pile. Let's get to work. Lady Tsunade, About the Hyuga clan? Shizune prompted again. I know. Tsunade kept her eyes on the papers. Go fetch Shikaku and Kakashi. Yes. Shizune, sensing that Tsunade already had a plan in mind, turned and left the room. Uchiha Cemetery Barrier. In a simple wooden hut within the barrier, Itachi sat peacefully, holding a cup of hot water. The door creaked open, and Kaido's paper clone entered, hands tucked into its sleeves as it pushed the door with its foot. Kaido glanced at the burning firewood in the pit and smiled. Looks like you're doing well. A cold draft swept in, and Itachi instinctively hunched his shoulders. Sorry. Kaido closed the door, found a small wooden stool, and sat down. You've been busy lately. Itachi said, setting out another teacup and pouring hot water from the kettle suspended over the fire. Kaido picked up the cup, smiling. You don't have to be so polite. I'm just a clone. I don't eat or drink. You can still feel warmth and cold. Itachi gazed at the flames. Seems like you've changed a bit. Kaido observed, studying Itachi's expression. Perhaps. Itachi's eyes remained calm. How is Sasuke? He's doing fine, I think. Kaido met Itachi's gaze. That kid hasn't contacted me lately. By the way. Kaido looked around the room at the supplies. You seem well stocked. I'm doing fine. Itachi replied, his attention returning to the fire. What about you? What's keeping you busy? Kaido smirked knowingly. You're really curious. Worried I might be causing trouble in Hidden Leaf Village? Itachi's gaze lowered. Just making conversation. The Hyuga clan situation. Kaido answered lightly. I like to see things through to the end. So it's true. You're involved in the Hyuga affair. Itachi's tone turned cold. Of course. Kaido sipped his tea leisurely. You shouldn't drag Sasuke into this. Itachi's voice hardened as he looked directly at Kaido. Don't worry, I'll keep Sasuke safe. Kaido replied casually, unfazed by Itachi's glare. Besides, the boy's grown up. Experiencing more will do him good. Do as you please. Itachi sighed, his frustration fading. You're too uptight. Sasuke's 16 now. Think back to what you were doing at that age. Kaido tapped the teacup, the sound crisp. Speaking of age, the current head of the Hyuga clan is an 11-year-old girl. Sasuke better not let someone that young outshine him. No chance of that. Itachi's confidence was unwavering. Sasuke is already very strong. I'm not talking about strength. Kaido said, tapping the cup again. I mean his mindset. Sasuke was always too tightly wound. Kaido continued, glaring at Itachi. He's better now, but he still needs more challenges to truly mature. Chapter 230, Lady Tsunade, Shikaku and Kakashi are here. Shizune entered the Hokage's office again, with Shikaku and Kakashi trailing behind her, both looking somewhat groggy. You too. Tsunade glared at their sleepy faces, slamming her desk in irritation. You went drinking last night and didn't invite me? Well. Kakashi said with an awkward laugh. Last night was a men's gathering. Shikaku rubbed his eyes. Exactly, Lady Tsunade. It was just a group of men drinking. Humphrey. Tsunade squinted suspiciously. So what? You're all just my juniors anyway. Yes, of course. Kakashi quickly conceded, grinning. Next time, Shikaku will definitely invite you. Shikaku gave Kakashi a sidelong glare, muttering to himself about Kakashi's sudden deference. Then, forcing himself to focus, he asked. Lady Tsunade, what's the reason you called us here? Tsunade dropped her teasing and adopted a serious expression. You're both aware of what happened with the Hyuga clan last night, right? Yes. They nodded in unison. This issue needs to be resolved quickly. Tsunade said firmly. We can't let it fester. Shikaku nodded in agreement. So far, the Hyuga clan's internal conflict has remained relatively contained, and that's a good thing. However, we need to address it promptly. Even though the Hyuga clan has kept a low profile, the news might still spread to other villages. Exactly. Kakashi added. We need to resolve this before other villages can react. Shikaku's expression grew thoughtful. There's also the matter of a hidden hand guiding the situation from behind the scenes. I agree. Kakashi said. It feels orchestrated. No surprises there. Tsunade sighed. It's likely Kaito's doing. I'll have Minato reach out to him. Kaido again, huh? Kakashi scratched his head. Not unexpected. I'll go see my teacher shortly. Good. This task is yours. Tsunade said decisively. Talk to Kaido and see if you can get any useful information out of him. Well, I don't want to raise your hopes too high, but I'll give it a shot. We can't handle the Hyuga situation without understanding his intentions. Go ahead. Tsunade waved him off. Shikaku and I will discuss our next steps. Yes, ma'am. Kakashi exited the office, closing the door behind him before leaping out of the hallway window. An open field outside Hidden Leaf Village. Hundreds of Naruto's shadow clones sat in perfect rows, each holding a leaf, fully focused on their training. Leaning against a tree, Minato watched them idly, occasionally glancing down at their progress. Whoosh! The sound of rushing air signaled Kakashi's arrival beside him. Yo, teacher. Naruto. Kakashi greeted casually. Kakashi-sensei. Don't interrupt my training. You irresponsible teacher. Dozens of Narutos dropped their leaves simultaneously, pointing and shouting at Kakashi in a cacophony of voices. Alright, alright. Kakashi covered his ears. You're way too noisy. Humphrey. The Narutos all huffed in unison before sitting back down to resume their training. Kakashi, you're here. Minato said, straightening from his seat on a tree branch. What's the matter? Yes. Kakashi smiled. Seems like you're not too concerned with village affairs, teacher. I'm exhausted just keeping an eye on this rascal. Minato replied, gesturing to Naruto. Besides, I'm not exactly in a position to meddle in the village's affairs anymore. It's about the Hyuga clan. Kakashi explained without preamble. Last night, the Hyuga branch family staged a revolt, and they succeeded. Oh? Minato looked mildly surprised. How's Hayashi? He's fine. Kakashi assured him. He's just been detained. Minato chuckled. Hayashi let his guard down, didn't he? Definitely. Kakashi said with a laugh. He was too complacent, trusting in his control of the caged bird seal. He didn't even activate his Byakugan in time. Well, as long as he's safe. Minato nodded. So, who's leading the Hyuga clan now? Hayashi's youngest daughter, Hanabi. As a former Hokage, Minato quickly pieced together the context. An extraordinary child. And a decision only a traditional clan like the Hyuga would make. Speaking of which, Minato looked back at Kakashi. Does this have something to do with why you're here? Kakashi nodded. Sort of. It's mostly about Kaido. Lady Tsunade suspects he orchestrated the entire situation in the Hyuga clan and wants to understand his true intentions. If we don't figure out his motives, Kakashi continued seriously, it'll be difficult to stabilize the Hyuga clan's internal conflicts. If more complications arise, it'll be a disaster. I see. Minato nodded knowingly. I'll talk to him. Thanks, teacher. Kakashi said with a smile. No problem. Minato retrieved a small paper doll from his ninja pouch. It had simple facial features drawn on it, and his face briefly took on sage-like markings as he infused natural energy into the doll. Minato? The doll's face shifted, and Kaito's voice emerged from it. Kaito, I need to talk to you. Minato said, holding the doll in his palm. I figured as much. Kaito's voice replied with amusement. This is about the Hyuga clan, right? So, it was you. Kakashi interjected. Kakashi's there too, huh? Kaito sounded unsurprised. Makes sense. Minato's not exactly one to meddle in Hidden Leaf Village's affairs these days. What's your goal? Kakashi asked bluntly. No need to be so tense. I don't mean any harm. My goal is simple. Kaito chuckled lightly. To eliminate the caged bird seal. Why? Minato asked, unable to hide his curiosity. That doesn't sound like you. Let's just say. Kaito's tone turned serious. It started as a mess Sasuke got me involved in. But when I removed Neji's seal, I discovered a hidden secret within the caged bird seal. What secret? Minato and Kakashi's expressions turned grim. The caged bird seal creates a subtle connection between the Hyuga clan's Byakugan and the moon. Kaito explained. I won't say more. Minato, you understand. It's up to you now. What? Minato's expression darkened. So, should I reveal everything? Up to you. Kaito said indifferently. As long as you can make them believe you. That's all for now. The communication cut off abruptly. Teacher? Kakashi asked, confused as Minato silently put away the paper doll. Let's go. Minato said, standing. I need to visit the Hokage's office. Chapter 231, Mount Hama, Uchiha residence. 4 Uchihas sat around a heated table, with 3 of them glaring at Kaito, who was leisurely eating an orange. Kaito popped another slice into his mouth, cheeks puffed out, and mumbled. Why are you all staring at me like that? What do you think? Izuna asked with a forced smile, his eyes fixed on the orange in Kaito's hand. Kaito looked at the orange in his hand, then asked in surprise. Oh, you wanted an orange? I did not. Izuna denied immediately. No need to be shy. Kaito stuffed the half-eaten orange into Izuna's hand. Here, take it. Take your nonsense elsewhere. Izuna threw the orange at Kaito's head, fuming. I can't even taste it. True. Kaito said smugly. When I designed this paper clone, I purposely didn't have eating or other bodily functions. Isn't it convenient? So. Izuna's face darkened as he clenched his teeth. You mean to say it's possible to add those functions? Of course. Kaito said, peeling another orange. But it's too troublesome. Isn't it better not to eat or use the bathroom? Better, my foot. Izuna snapped, flipping the table over in frustration. Hey. What are you doing? The heated table overturned, scattering hot coals. The other three quickly dodged to avoid them. Let's talk this out. Kaito said, slipping another orange slice into his mouth. He looked at Izuna disapprovingly. Why are you so cranky today? Hey. Dark energy seemed to radiate from Izuna as he let out a sinister laugh. Madara-san, look at him. Kaito turned to Madara for support, only to see that he too was giving Kaito a terrifying look. Kaito wisely retreated behind Chiri, who was still smiling peacefully, and grabbed her sleeve. Miss Chiri, help me. Kaito peeked out from behind her. What's wrong with them? Oh my. Chiri's smile deepened. They just want to eat something too. Ah, I see. Kaito patted his chest in relief. Madara-san, Izuna-san, you should have said so earlier. Kaito stepped out from behind Chiri. Leave it to me. I just need to modify the spells on your paper clones a bit. Brother. Izuna said, his face darkening as he turned to Madara. This guy is beyond saving. Let's just beat him up. Agreed. Madara nodded. In an instant, the two appeared behind Kaito and grabbed his arms. What are you doing? Caught off guard, Kaito was pinned. Beating you up. Izuna swept Kaito's legs out from under him, sending him crashing to the floor. Madara activated his Rinnegan. Universal pull. Kneeling down, Madara used the gravitational force to firmly pin Kaito against his hand. Izuna followed up with a powerful kick. Ah! Why are you hitting me? Kaito struggled, reaching out to Chiri, who was seated at a distance. Miss Chiri, help me. Oh my. Chiri rose calmly, smiling as she walked toward the kitchen. It's time to prepare afternoon tea. Afternoon tea? I haven't even had a bite. Kaito shouted in protest. Madara and Izuna said nothing, one holding him down while the other continued kicking. Alright, I surrender. Izuna landed another kick, but Kaito's body suddenly dissolved into golden liquid, splashing across the floor. I surrender. The liquid quickly flowed away. It's my fault. I'll modify the spells right now. You'll have your afternoon tea soon. Humphrey. Izuna crossed his arms. Hurry up. Got it. The golden liquid reformed into Kaito's humanoid shape as he dashed toward the laboratory. His voice echoed back. Just give me a bit of time to figure it out. An hour later, the four were once again seated around the heated table. A pile of orange peels lay before Izuna, who continued eating with relish. So sweet. He said, his face contorting into a false smile. Madara, expressionless as ever, ate his favorite inari sushi, one piece after another. Despite his stoic demeanor, there was an inexplicable softness to his sharp features. Chiri sat elegantly, a small cake on her plate and a cup of tea in her hand. Kaito, meanwhile, sat off to the side, gazing longingly at the food. Ahem. Kaito cleared his throat, clutching his neck. My throat feels a bit itchy. He reached toward the pile of oranges in the center of the table. Smack. Izuna's hand shot out like lightning, slapping Kaito's hand away. Your throat's itchy? Izuna lifted the entire plate of oranges, smiling insincerely. Yeah. Kaito nodded. Then drink some hot water. Izuna said with a gleaming smile. You're old enough to get it yourself. Never mind. Kaito retracted his hand with an awkward grin. It's feeling better now. Good. Izuna said, popping an orange slice into his mouth. I'm so relieved to hear that. Thanks for your concern. Kaito replied, his own smile forced. You're welcome. Izuna said, placing the plate of oranges firmly on his lap. Kaito clicked his tongue quietly, turning his gaze to Madara. So, the Madara likes inari sushi, huh? Kaito eyed the rapidly emptying plate. I've never tried it before. Madara glanced at him, his hand moving with lightning speed. Sorry, it's all gone. He set his chopsticks down on the now empty plate and picked up his tea. It was delicious. Madara said, a rare smile gracing his face. Thank you for the meal, Chiri. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Chiri replied warmly. Ms. Chiri. Kaito said, shifting his gaze to the small cake in front of her. Chiri set down her tea and picked up her fork, turning to Kaito with a caring expression. Yes, what is it, Kaito? Nothing. Kaito chuckled nervously. I didn't know you could bake cakes, Chiri. Chiri delicately ate a small piece of cake, her face lighting up with joy as imaginary flowers seemed to bloom around her. "Oh, it's just a little hobby from my younger days," she said modestly. She took another bite. "It's been years since I've had this." Another bite. "It makes me so happy." "As long as you're happy." Kaito averted his longing gaze, sighing. He raised his hand. "I just remembered I have something to do." "Excuse me." Without waiting for a response, Kaito rushed out the door, slipped on his shoes in the hallway, and leapt over the courtyard wall. Laughter and chatter echoed from the house as Kaito glanced back. "Humphrey, I'm going to get some fox soden." A cold breeze swept by, and Kaito shivered, shoving his hands into his sleeves as he hurried away from home. Chapter 232. As twilight approached, the first snow began to fall. Tiny snowflakes fluttered down, melting quickly and dampening the ground bit by bit. Inside the Hokage's office, silence filled the air. Tsunade, Shizune, Kakashi, and Shikaku all stared skeptically at Minato, who stood awkwardly in the center of the room. "Haha." Minato let out a few awkward laughs, breaking the silence. "So?" Kakashi said, his face half-lit with exasperation. "Teacher, are you planning to follow in Jiraiya's footsteps and start writing novels too?" He clapped his hands half-heartedly. "I have to admit, you do have some talent," he said dryly. "At the very least, the story's plot is quite compelling." "Oh, so this was a novel idea?" Shikaku let out a sigh of relief for reasons unknown and stroked his chin. "Combining history and folklore. It's an interesting way to explain history. Sounds like a book worth reading." "I'm intrigued." He gave Minato an encouraging look. "Good luck, Minato. I'll be the first to buy it when it's published." Shizune also relaxed and laughed. "You really scared me just now. I didn't expect even the fourth Hokage to joke like this." "Alright, Minato." Tsunade snapped, glaring at him. "Stop wasting our time with your novel ideas. Let's get to the real business." "Yeah." Kakashi chimed in with his usual dryness. "Though Kaito's mention of the moon might have some deeper meaning, you actually managed to come up with a story about Princess Kaguya being sealed on the moon. You all." Minato suddenly dropped his awkward demeanor, his usual warm and radiant smile returning. "Lady Tsunade, Shikaku, Kakashi, Shizune. You're the ones avoiding the truth here. You." Tsunade's expression darkened. She slammed the desk with her palm, her voice rising. "If everything you're saying is true, then what's the point of being a ninja? Living like this for generations. It's utterly tragic." "Lady Tsunade." Shizune looked at her with concern. "Don't think of it that way, Lady Tsunade," Minato said gently but firmly. "Ninjas have always been struggling to survive amidst battles. Perhaps this is an opportunity to break free from that endless cycle of fate." Shikaku mulled over Minato's words, speaking calmly. "This is all coming from Kaito Uchiha, right? While his logic is coherent and convincing, I'd still like to see definitive evidence before forming an opinion." "That guy Kaito," Kakashi said, shifting from tense to nonchalant in 3 seconds. "Does he think he's some kind of savior? Fine, let him save the world. If the sky's falling, let the tall ones hold it up." "Well, saving the world does sound interesting." Minato's eager expression caused everyone else's faces to stiffen. "But..." Minato waved his hand dismissively. "I'm just keeping an eye on things as a precaution." "In that case, there's no need to be overly anxious," Tsunade concluded. "Such far-fetched ideas shouldn't be taken too seriously. Besides..." She propped her chin on her hands. "The Akatsuki's existence is the real issue. Unlike Kaito, we can't just sit back and watch them collect all the tailed beasts." "Of course not," Minato said resolutely. "I'll protect Naruto no matter what." "Alright, let's set this topic aside for now." Tsunade redirected the discussion. "For now, our immediate concern is the Hyuga clan. According to Kaito, whatever his motives are, his goal is to eliminate the caged bird seal." Kakashi said. "This aligns with the Hokage's goals, so he probably won't interfere further." "That's good." Shikaku turned to Tsunade. "Lady Hokage, our next steps should proceed methodically." "TCH." Tsunade scowled. "There are so many in the Hyuga clan. Even if I get used to it, removing all the caged bird seals won't be quick." "Lady Tsunade, I'll do my best to help," Shizune offered quickly. "It's useless." Tsunade slumped in her chair. "Not to brag, but no one else has the level of chakra control required." "Not even close?" "Not even Sakura?" Shizune asked in surprise, knowing Sakura had surpassed her in some ways. "Sakura still needs more time," Tsunade said, sounding drained. "This is no easy task." "We appreciate your efforts, Lady Hokage," Shikaku said. "I'll handle organizing the Hyuga clan seal removal order as efficiently as possible." Tsunade nodded and gave her next orders. Kakashi, take my directive to the Anbu. You and Yamato will each lead a team to the border units and inform the commanders to keep an eye on Hyuga members. Make sure they don't return to the village without permission. Yes. Kakashi took the signed orders and left the office. Minato, concerned about Naruto training alone, followed soon after. Once Minato was gone, Tsunoda's expression grew heavy again. Shikaku, she said seriously. How likely do you think Minato's claims are true? A single testimony isn't evidence. Shikaku replied calmly. But we can't dismiss the possibility entirely. It's not impossible. I understand. Tsunoda sighed deeply. Given Kaido's past actions, this could very well be true. Which is why we can't let the Akatsuki gather all the tailed beasts. She emphasized. If everything Kaido says is true, and he really intends to release this Princess Kaguya, we can't condone such a reckless gamble. Lady Tsunoda, Minato would never let Naruto be put in danger. Shizune said reassuringly. That's true. Shikaku agreed, though he remained uneasy. But we can't be certain of the dynamic between Minato and Kaido. We need to ensure Kaito doesn't manipulate Minato's will. I'll contact Jiraiya. Tsunoda said firmly. He mentioned in his last letter that the Akatsuki has already captured 7 tailed beasts. Only the 8 tails and 9 tails remain. Have Jiraiya return. Shikaku suggested. With him here, Naruto's safety will be better ensured. Alright. Tsunoda made her decision. I'll shift my focus to the Hyuga clan for now. It's time for Jiraiya to come back. Chapter 233, as night approached, the first snowfall painted the evening sky. Inside his lab, Kaido Uchiha sat cross-legged on the floor, alone. Suddenly, a swirling transparent vortex formed in the air. Emerging from it was Tobi. Wearing his signature single-eyed mask. Master. Tobi knelt on one knee before Kaido, bowing his head. Kaido remained silent, smiling as he extended his right hand and placed it on Tobi's head. A blue spiritual glow radiated from Kaido's palm, enveloping Tobi's entire body before gradually fading away. All done. Kaito said, withdrawing his hand. I've performed some maintenance. This body should last a bit longer. Yes. The blood puppet raised its head to look at Kaido, then reached up to remove its mask. Hey. Kaido's eyes fell on Tobi's scarred, ravaged face. Extending his hand, he gestured. Hand it over. Only the 8 tails and 9 tails chakra remain uncollected. Obito said, producing a scroll from his ninja pouch and placing it in Kaido's hand. Good. Kaido glanced at the scroll with satisfaction before setting it aside. Now, tell me. What price did you pay to obtain this? Obito lowered his head again and recounted in a deep voice. The 1 tails chakra was traded to Deidara in exchange for a 3 Tomoe Sharingan. I personally captured the 2 tails and 3 tails. For the 4 tails, 5 tails, and 6 tails, I secured fragments of their chakra before the Akatsuki's actions. The 7 tails was acquired by coercing Deidara. Well done. Kaido's smile widened, pleased. Unlike clones, blood puppets housed artificial personalities and couldn't transmit real-time information to their controller. Despite these drawbacks, the jutsu that allowed perfect impersonation of another person was exceptionally useful. Master, there's been an anomaly. Obito spoke again, noting that its enhanced sensory abilities, thanks to the integration of the white zetsu into its body, had detected something unusual. Recently, it felt that a strange white zetsu was covertly observing it. Initially, it assumed this was Black Zetsu's doing, but later discovered the zetsu in question had ties to Nagato. This is getting interesting. Kaido remarked casually. It seems that when Obito transplanted white zetsu tissue into Nagato to save his life, it ended up working in Nagato's favor. Master. The blood puppet continued. White zetsu should know all of Black Zetsu's plans. If that zetsu is under Nagato's control, then Nagato likely knows much more now. Fascinating. Kaito said, breaking into laughter. That's what makes things exciting. That particular white zetsu, Kaido revealed, was captured and modified by one of my clones before being delivered to Nagato. I don't mind planting a few spies within the Akatsuki. Leaning closer to the blood puppet, Kaido asked. What do you think Nagato will do once he learns the full truth? The blood puppet remained silent, staring into Kaito's eyes. Kaido didn't seem to expect an answer. He leaned back and said with intrigue. If Nagato's long-held dream shatters, he'll either completely give up, or take the whole world down with him in his hatred. During my first battle with Nagato and Obito, I had a feeling this might happen. Kaito snapped his fingers, an expression of disdain crossing his face. Obito's personality always seemed insufferable. I knew I wouldn't be able to tolerate him for long. So, when Nagato's true body was revealed, I discreetly planted a few surprises within him. Sighing, Kaido added. And, as expected, Obito didn't last long before getting himself killed. But that's beside the point. Kaito said, lost in thought. Initially, I only wanted to find Nagato's hiding place. When Obito saved Nagato, I took the opportunity to help out discreetly, making sure Nagato noticed the existence of White Zetsu. Nagato didn't disappoint him. After observing Dobi's secrets, Nagato cleverly captured a White Zetsu and replaced parts of his body with it. And succeeded. After Tobi's death, Kaito needed someone to replace him as the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki and summon Kaguya Otsutsuki. Madara, having learned the truth of Kaido's manipulations, was unlikely to cooperate. The blood puppet was unsuitable for the role. This left Nagato as the only viable candidate. Through observation, Kaido concluded that Nagato was somewhat naive. Despite his age, he remained fixated on Yahiko's youthful ideals. Even after committing countless ruthless acts, Nagato's core remained untainted. His ultimate goal was to eliminate war from the ninja world. Even with all nine-tailed beasts, Nagato only intended to use them as deterrents, not weapons of mass destruction. Black Zetsu would never allow Nagato to become the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki, as that role was meant for Obito. To prevent the blood puppet from being exposed in front of Black Zetsu, Kaido decided to give Nagato a helping hand. Through his clones, Kaido captured a White Zetsu, modified it, and ensured Nagato noticed it during one of his outings. As planned, the White Zetsu became Nagato's puppet. Sovereign. Through Sovereign, Nagato uncovered many hidden truths. Just as Kaido hoped, the knowledge pushed Nagato into despair, igniting an unparalleled hatred. Not toward any individual, but toward the world itself. Now, Nagato was destined to be the sacrificial vessel for Kaguya Otsutsuki's resurrection. Go now. Kaido patted Obito's head again. Since Nagato has tasked you with capturing the Eight Tails, this aligns perfectly with our plans. Yes, Master. The blood puppet stood, replacing its mask. The Mangekyo Sharingan swirled, creating a vortex that engulfed its form, and it vanished into the air. Kaido picked up the scroll and walked to a long table. Breaking the seal, he retrieved 7 talismans infused with tailed beast chakra. After inspecting them, he placed the talismans in a small wooden box carved from the divine tree's wood. Sealing the box with a tag, he then approached a corner of the lab. Placing his hand on the wall, a flash of blue light revealed a hidden wooden door. Opening it, Kaito stepped into a dimly lit chamber. The stone floor bore intricate circles of glowing runes. At the center of the room was a golden crystal, semi-transparent, with a faint shadow swimming inside. This was the Ten-Tails consciousness, extracted from the Uchiha's ancestral tablet and sealed within the crystal. Kaido observed it briefly before closing the door, causing it to vanish seamlessly into the wall. He turned and left the lab. The secret behind the Otsutsuki clan's creation of the divine tree. I will uncover it. Kaito vowed, his voice resolute. Chapter 234, at the border town in the land of fields, as night began to fall. Sasuke and Neji, staying in an inn, received a visit from a somewhat familiar face. Long time no see, Sasuke-kun. You're? Sasuke thought for a moment. Kabuto? I'm honored. I didn't expect Sasuke-kun to still remember me. Kabuto adjusted his glasses. Under Lord Orochimaru's orders, I am here to assist you. He glanced briefly at Neji. And Neji-kun. Got it. Said Sasuke, who was sitting in a yukata while maintaining his blade. He gave Kabuto a fleeting glance. We'll rest for the night and leave in the morning. Understood. Kabuto gave a polite smile, then left the room, closing the door behind him. That guy. Neji recalled. He participated in the Chunin exams with us, right? Yeah, he's Orochimaru's subordinate and was a spy in Hidden Leaf Village at the time. Sasuke raised his sword, inspecting its polished blade, and then sheathed it with satisfaction. While tidying up his tools, he added. He's a cunning guy. Don't trust a word he says. Understood. Neji had a scroll spread out and was writing on it with a brush. Sasuke put away his maintenance kit and glanced at Neji's work. Sage art, gentle fist? Sasuke raised an eyebrow. You're actually writing it down? No one but you could use it, considering sage mode isn't something just anyone can learn. I know. I was just lucky. Neji reached up and touched the sage art marking on the back of his neck. But who knows? He said, continuing to write. Maybe one day, another Hyuga will master this. Fine, whatever makes you happy. Sasuke lost interest and looked away. By the way, going to Orochimaru doesn't really help with your uncle's situation, does it? Neji remarked. It's more like this is for your training. Humphrey. Sasuke's tone turned sour at the mention. There's nothing for my uncle to do at the moment. So, you're basically working for Orochimaru? Neji teased. Of course not. Sasuke snapped. We're there to monitor the collaboration between Orochimaru and Rechi Cave. Fine, whatever makes you happy. Neji lowered his head and resumed writing. Humphrey. Sasuke huffed, walking away. I'll make the beds. He opened the closet, grabbed bedding, and laid it out on the tatami floor. By the way, Sasuke said, looking at Neji. Weren't you planning to check the black market for any bounties on the Hyuga clan? I will. Neji put away his scroll, brush, and ink. However, he walked over to the closet and pulled out another set of bedding. After thinking about it, I realize that those with the caged bird seals still in place will probably stay quiet for a while. There must have been some Hyuga clan members captured during this time. Sasuke said as he finished preparing his bed. Why haven't you rushed to rescue them? We both come from prominent clans. Don't tell me you don't know this already. Neji replied, laying out his bedding beside Sasuke's. As shinobi, dying on a mission is too common. Does everyone get rescued every time? Besides, Neji's expression turned colder. There aren't many in the clan I'm close to. With no leads and no certainty that anyone has even been captured, there's no point in attempting a rescue without a clear direction. He shook his head. If it were me, I'd probably think the same way. Sasuke admitted, nodding. Both slipped under their blankets. I'm turning off the lights. Sasuke reached into his ninja pouch on the floor and pulled out 2 shuriken. Swish. One shuriken flew in a curved arc, snuffing out the flames of 3 candles on the table before embedding itself in the wall. TCH. All that show for blowing out candles. Neji smirked faintly and extended a palm. 8 trigrams air palm. A soft chakra wave extinguished the 3 candles on the windowsill. The room was plunged into complete darkness. TCH. Sasuke set the remaining shuriken on his pillow. I should have thrown both at once. Sasuke thought, mildly annoyed. Hey. Neji's voice cut through the darkness. Have you ever thought about going back to Hidden Leaf Village? No. Sasuke replied flatly. Why, do you want to go back? No. Neji's tone sounded stiff. TCH, it's fine if you want to go back. After all, you're different from me. Sasuke said, staring at the invisible ceiling. My family isn't in Hidden Leaf Village, so I have no reason to return. What about Naruto? Kakashi-sensei? Sakura? Neji asked softly. And isn't your brother in Hidden Leaf Village now? Don't mention that guy. I don't have a brother anymore. Sasuke said coldly. Naruto seems pretty persistent about you. Neji added. That guy. Sasuke sighed. I've already made things clear with him. He shouldn't try to bring me back to Hidden Leaf Village anymore. Are you talking about Naruto? Neji asked, surprised. Yeah. Ever since Uncle Minato came back, his outlook has changed a lot. Sasuke chuckled softly. Still an idiot, though. When you and I defected, he seemed really angry. Neji recalled Naruto's reaction. What about you? Is it the clan or your comrades you're reluctant to leave? Sasuke shifted the topic. It's probably more about your comrades, isn't it? Neji fell silent. After a long pause, he spoke again. I just feel guilty toward Guy-sensei. Might Guy risked his life trying to stop you? Sasuke recalled Guy's relentless attacks, feeling a chill. That man is intense. Guy-sensei is someone who lives his beliefs to the fullest. Neji said softly. He may seem foolish, but I've always respected him. In his mind, he wasn't stopping me. He was helping me. Neji added quietly. It's not that he didn't understand, it's that he had his principles. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. Sasuke seemed to understand Neji's emotions. Your goals are different. You have your own path to walk. True. Neji said with a faint laugh. Maybe in the end, all paths lead to the same place. Exactly. Sasuke agreed. Don't worry. On the stage where the world gets saved, we'll end up as comrades again. Hopefully. Neji murmured, closing his eyes. Good night. Good night. As the night deepened, the room grew quieter. Only the sound of their breathing and the gentle fall of snow outside the window filled the silence. Chapter 235, Late at night, the Hyuga clan's main residence, Hidden Leaf Village. Hanabi carried a lantern as she descended the dimly lit stone staircase step by step. Hinata followed closely behind her, matching her pace. Hanabi. Hinata's soft voice broke the silence of the underground passage. Are you ready to meet father? Don't worry, sister. Hanabi said without turning back. I won't back down. Hanabi. Hinata took a deep breath, her expression firming with resolve. I've made my decision. Whatever you do, I will always stand by your side and support you. I know. Hanabi's lips curved into a smile. As expected, her sister was always so gentle. And because of that gentleness, she could also be strong. The orange glow of the lantern illuminated the pitch-black corridor, and before long, they arrived at a heavy, closed door. Lady Hanabi. Two Hyuga clansmen standing guard bowed deeply. "We wish to see father," Hanabi said, stepping forward and issuing the command directly. "This." The long-haired young man on the left hesitated and glanced at the middle-aged shinobi on the right. The short-haired, older shinobi bore a withered expression as he lowered his gaze to meet Hanabi's eyes. "We're here to meet father," Hanabi repeated, her smile unwavering. The two guards exchanged a look. After a moment, the older shinobi nodded. "Very well, Lady Hanabi." He turned to the younger man. "Open the door and allow Lady Hanabi and Lady Hinata inside." "Yes." The long-haired guard retrieved a key, unlocked the iron door, and pushed it open. "Please, go ahead," he said, stepping aside. "Lady Hanabi, Lady Hinata." "Thank you." Hanabi nodded politely, holding the lantern in one hand and Hinata's hand in the other as she stepped into the dark chamber. Once the two entered, the younger guard closed the door behind them and secured the lock. "Uncle Shun?" the long-haired guard asked nervously. "Is this really okay?" "It's fine," Hyuga Shun replied firmly. "Lady Hanabi and Lady Hinata don't have the means to rescue Lord Hayashi. Besides," his eyes flashed with resolve, "since Takuma and the others chose to trust Lady Hanabi, we must do the same." "I understand, Uncle Shun," the younger man said, returning to his post. In the dim chamber, the only light came from a few candles flickering on a stand in the corner. As Hanabi entered with her lantern, the room grew a little brighter. The chamber, though sparse, was not uncomfortable. Hayashi Hyuga sat calmly on a cushion with his chakra sealed, his eyes closed and his posture impeccable. In front of him was a low table with a tea set neatly arranged. "Father." Hanabi released Hinata's hand, and both sisters bowed deeply in greeting. "You've come." Hayashi opened his eyes, his gaze steady and his tone neutral as he looked at his two daughters. "Yes." they both replied, surprise flickering on their faces. "Are you wondering why I am not angry to see you?" Hayashi gave a faint, almost carefree smile. "Father." Hanabi stepped forward, placing the lantern on the low table before kneeling in front of Hayashi. She tilted her head slightly, her expression curious. "Does that mean father already knows everything?" "I know," Hayashi said. "Takuma and the others didn't keep anything from me." He regarded his younger daughter with a complicated expression. "What I didn't expect was that you, Hanabi, would step forward. Does father approve of what I've done?" Hanabi smiled sweetly, her expression both innocent and sly. "You're my daughter." For a moment, Hayashi's rigid demeanor softened. "As your father, I'm proud to see how much you've grown." Hanabi's smile grew brighter, but Hayashi's expression abruptly turned stern. However, the warmth in his gaze vanished like a fleeting shadow. Hayashi fixed his piercing eyes on his young daughter. "In what capacity have you come to see me, Hanabi?" He scrutinized her sharply. "Are you here as my daughter, Hanabi Hyuga? Or as the future head of the Hyuga clan, Hanabi Hyuga?" Hanabi's smile faded as she stared at her father. "Father, Hanabi." Hinata broke the heavy silence, but her voice faltered under Hayashi's icy glare. "Be silent." Hayashi's cutting gaze silenced her instantly. Hinata's face turned pale, and her lips trembled slightly. "No. This won't do. I promised I would stand by Hanabi and protect her." Steeling herself, Hinata glanced at Hanabi's stiff back and took several deep breaths. Her voice wavered as she spoke again. "Father, I think Hanabi has done very well. I will always stand by her and protect her." "Oh?" Hayashi looked at her again, surprised. Their eyes met, and though Hinata's body trembled, her gaze held steady. "It seems you've grown as well, Hinata," Hayashi said, withdrawing his gaze. He offered no further comment and turned back to Hanabi. Hinata's words seemed to bring Hanabi back to herself. "Father," Hanabi said, her small face serious. "I'm here as the next head of the Hyuga clan. In that case, our conversation will have nothing to do with our relationship as father and daughter." Hayashi's tone grew cold and commanding. "Hanabi Hyuga." "Yes." Hanabi's gaze didn't waver as she met his eyes. "As the next clan head, you've chosen to end the Hyuga clan's centuries-old tradition and abolish the caged bird seal. Is that correct?" "Yes." Hanabi's voice was firm and unhesitant. "Then have you considered how the Hyuga clan will survive without the protection of the seal?" Hayashi's tone sharpened as he pressed further. "In the shinobi world, many covet the power of the Byakugan. There's precedent with Hidden Mist Village successfully transplanting Byakugan. Without the caged bird seal, Hyuga ninja will face countless targeted attacks. How will you ensure the clan's continued survival?" "I don't know." Hanabi's response was bold and unapologetic. "Of course you don't." Hayashi sighed, his voice heavy. Even I don't know. Father. Hanabi reached out her small hand to grasp Hayashi's cold one. Hayashi didn't pull away, allowing her to hold his hand. For the first time, a hint of hesitation appeared on his face. It's because I don't know how to protect the clan without the seal that I've clung to it, he admitted, his voice tinged with regret. He raised his head, his gaze distant. Even when my beloved brother died because of it, I persisted. That's the responsibility of the main family. Father. Hanabi said, her grip tightening, her eyes burning with determination. I may not know how yet, but I will figure it out. Whether it's envy or attacks, it all comes down to strength. Then we'll make the Hyuga clan so strong that we'll have no need to fear any of it. Chapter 236, Hayashi looked at Hanabi with a tinge of pity. Do you think the Hyuga clan hasn't aspired to absolute strength? For centuries, countless predecessors have made countless efforts and attempts, yet no one has been able to break through that boundary. Boundary? Hanabi asked curiously. Yes, a boundary. Hayashi confirmed. Even the ancestor who was considered on par with Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha only reached the pinnacle of ordinary shinobi. Their strength still fell far short of those two. So. Hanabi tilted her head thoughtfully. The first Hokage and that Uchiha ancestor were the ones who broke the boundary, weren't they? Indeed. Hayashi sighed. Although I never saw it with my own eyes, the record suggests their power surpassed the limits of a shinobi, reaching a level comparable to that of gods. And what of it? Hanabi remained unfazed. No matter how powerful they were, the title of Hidden Lee Village's strongest clan now belongs to the Hyuga. You think so? Hayashi shook his head. Those two were so powerful, yet they couldn't protect their clans. The Hyuga's Byakugan, unlike the Sharingan, is easier to transplant. Without the protection of the caged bird seal, our clan will face even greater danger. But the hatred and pain within the clan can't continue. Hanabi said firmly, her resolve unshaken. She glanced back at Hinata. I don't want my sister to live like a slave, the way Uncle Hisashi and Brother Neji did. Passing down pain and hatred to the next generation. As a brother, I feel ashamed toward Hisashi and Neji. Hayashi admitted. But as the clan leader, I must ensure the Hyuga clan endures. You've satisfied the clan's current desires, and they respect and support you for now. His sharp gaze bore into Hanabi. But if you fail to protect the clan in the future, their respect will turn to dissatisfaction. And even hatred. Do you understand that? I understand, father. Hanabi met his gaze without flinching. But I don't want to live with regret. Whether I succeed or fail, I'll only know if I try. You're too young. Hayashi said, his tone laced with both pity and concern. This responsibility is far too heavy for someone your age. Hanabi's small face grew solemn, her petite frame radiating an unexpected determination. I just want to do this. Not that you have much choice. Hayashi sighed. The branch family has already succeeded. You can only go with the flow. Grow up quickly. He said at last, unable to suppress the urge to reach out and pat Hanabi's head. Hanabi beamed and nuzzled her father's hand. Hinata. Hayashi's gaze shifted to his elder daughter. Don't forget what you said. No matter what, you must do everything in your power to protect Hanabi. Yes. Hinata replied immediately. I will. Inside, she felt a wave of excitement. Is father finally acknowledging me? Does he still have expectations for me? And one more thing. Hayashi added. When the fifth Hokage fulfills her promise to remove the caged bird seal, let Hinata stay to learn the technique. The ability to lift the seal must remain within the Hyuga clan. I'll discuss this with Lady Hokage. Hanabi agreed. She turned to Hinata. Sister, I'm counting on you for this. Hinata looked between her father and sister, their expectant gazes striking her like a bolt of lightning. I'll do my best. She exclaimed, her voice resolute. Hanabi. Hayashi's expression turned serious once more. You're still young, and for now, your role as clan leader is more symbolic than practical. Focus on improving your strength. From now on, I'll teach you the Hyuga clan's secret gentle fist techniques reserved for the main family. Hanabi nodded eagerly. I'll speak with the others to arrange daily lessons with you, father. Good. That's enough for today. Hayashi withdrew his hand and closed his eyes again. Yes, father. Hanabi stood quietly, picked up the lantern, and took Hinata's hand as they headed for the door. The chamber door opened once more. The two sisters stepped outside, pausing to glance back at Hayashi sitting silently in the dim room before the heavy iron door shut again. Come out. Hayashi said softly, opening his eyes. From the darkness, a faint rustling sound emerged as a small paper doll scuttled out of the shadows. Lord Hayashi. The paper doll morphed, and Kaido Uchiha appeared, seated where Hanabi had just been. He smiled and said, "It's been a while. I just came by to say hello, but your daughters arrived first." Kaito Uchiha. Hayashi's gaze was sharp, as if trying to pierce through the man's calm exterior. "The current state of the Hyuga clan is your doing, isn't it?" Hayashi stated coldly. "What do you want now?" "Just a courtesy visit." Kaito's tone was unbuffered as he casually picked up the teapot and poured tea into 2 cups. "By the way," he continued, raising a cup to his nose, "I wanted to ask if the Hyuga clan is interested in cooperating with me." Hayashi chuckled dryly and sipped his tea before responding. "Neji is already under your influence. Do you have your sights set on something else within the Hyuga clan?" "You misunderstand." Kaito shook his head with a polite smile. "I desire nothing. Neji simply chose to join Sasuke as a companion." "Is that so?" Hayashi remained noncommittal. "Then what sort of cooperation are you proposing? Tell me, Lord Hyuga." Kaito's smile turned enigmatic. "What do you know about the origins of the Hyuga clan? And the secrets of the moon?" Hayashi's expression grew grave. "You know more than I imagined." "It's nothing," Kaito said humbly. Hayashi hesitated but eventually spoke. "According to ancient texts, the Hyuga clan's ancestors were connected to the Sage of 6 Paths and eventually traveled to the moon. As you said earlier, the power of the Hyuga clan has its limits." Kaito said, his tone enticing. "Perhaps the secret to breaking those limits lies on the moon." "You make a compelling argument," Hayashi admitted, though his demeanor remained guarded. "But countless Hyuga ancestors have thought the same. The moon is far beyond our reach." Kaito leaned forward, his voice dropping conspiratorially. "Would you like to know why I involved myself in the matter of the caged bird seal?" Hayashi stared at him silently, waiting. Kaito revealed the secret he'd discovered within the caged bird seal. Hayashi's composure finally cracked. How can this be? Could it be true that the Hyuga clan had been under surveillance by beings from the moon for centuries? The thought sent a chill down his spine. Chapter 237, Morning at the Wooden Cabin. As dawn broke, Itachi opened the door of his small wooden cabin, revealing Kaito's paper puppet stepping lightly through the dewy grass, entering from outside the barrier. "Good morning." Kaito, hands tucked into his sleeves, strolled leisurely toward Itachi and peeked into the cabin. "Have you eaten breakfast yet?" Itachi ignored him, turning back inside to fold up the bedding spread across the floor. "Just woke up, huh?" Without hesitation, Kaito stepped inside and settled onto a small stool near the fire pit. "The fire's about to go out. Let me add some wood." With that, he grabbed a log from the pile beside the fire pit and tossed it onto the dying embers. Then another. And another. "What's going on?" Kaito stared at the now completely extinguished fire, looking baffled. "How did it go out completely?" Itachi walked over in silence, propped up the logs in an orderly stack, and began forming hand seals. Kaito raised an eyebrow, watching him curiously. Deprived of his chakra by a seal, Itachi calmly abandoned the seals and reached for a matchstick instead. "For a moment, I thought you'd broken the seal," Kaito remarked with a smirk. Itachi said nothing, kneeling silently to light the fire. As the flames crackled to life, Itachi stepped outside with a bucket, heading to the forest's edge to fetch water from a nearby well. Kaito rested his chin in his hand, watching as Itachi returned to boil water, rinse rice, and cook porridge. "Just plain porridge?" Kaito peered into the iron pot hanging above the fire pit and stirred the bubbling rice. Itachi sat quietly nearby, sipping hot tea. "You couldn't pour me a cup too? Such poor manners." "I know I'm just a puppet, but still." Itachi set his tea down, picked up the kettle, and poured a cup of hot water. Kaito eagerly grabbed the teacup, holding it with both hands. After placing the kettle back by the fire, Itachi finally broke his silence. "What did you do last night?" "Interested, are we?" Kaito arched an eyebrow, smirking. "Not particularly." Itachi replied flatly, stirring the porridge with a ladle. Though the words were left unsaid, his actions conveyed, "You're too noisy." "Well, since you're so eager, I'll grace you with the details," Kaito declared, his expression one of mock benevolence. Itachi stiffened momentarily, then turned fully away from him. "I wasn't that eager." "Why are you acting like Sasuke now, so standoffish?" Kaito muttered, displeased. "Fine, I'll tell you anyway. Last night, I had a chat with Hayashi Hyuga." Knowing better than to argue, Itachi kept silent. "Boring," thought Kaito, pursing his lips. "This guy's no fun compared to Sasuke or Izuna. I'm considering collaborating with the Hyuga clan." Kaito continued. Itachi turned back, his expression briefly puzzled. "Collaborate with the Hyuga? What for?" "The Hyuga, with their Byakugan, carry the purest traces of Kaguya Otsutsuki's bloodline," Kaito explained. "Unlike the Sharingan, which was born of the God Tree's power. The Byakugan is Kaguya's original Jujutsu. Itachi's response was curt, his disinterest palpable. Talking to someone this incurious is exhausting, Kaido thought, pouting. I want to explore the limits of the Byakugan, see how far it can evolve. Kaido went on. By studying the Hyuga and other clans descended from Kaguya, I aim to uncover the true nature of the Otsutsuki lineage. One sample, like Neji, isn't enough. And, he added, considering the connection between the Hyuga and Hamora's descendants on the moon, bringing a Hyuga along for a future moon expedition could yield unexpected results. As the water in his cup grew tepid, Kaito nonchalantly dumped it out, grabbed the kettle, and poured himself a fresh cup. Oh, the porridge looks ready. He glanced at the bubbling pot. Itachi stood up, retrieved a bowl and chopsticks from the table, served himself a portion, and sat on a small stool to eat. Not chatting anymore, then? Kaito sighed dramatically at Itachi's quiet focus on his meal. My real body needs breakfast too, he remarked, shrinking down into a small paper figure. The tiny puppet darted toward the cabinet in the corner, slipping inside through a crack. With the cabin now completely silent, Itachi glanced over his shoulder at the empty corner, then resumed eating his porridge in peace. At the Uchiha estate in Mount Hama, today's breakfast better include my share, Kaito shouted as he burst into the dining area, taking a seat at the table and looking expectantly at Chiri, who was carrying dishes out from the kitchen. There's some for me, right? Right, Chiri-senpai? Humphrey. Izuna emerged from the kitchen with another tray of food, scoffing as he eyed Kaito. Just sitting there waiting to be served? You might as well rot into the ground. Kaito glanced at Madara, who sat calmly like a lord at the table, and pursed his lips, swallowing his protest. What are you staring at my brother for? Izuna slammed a dish in front of Madara, shooting Kaito a glare as sharp as a kunai. And nothing. Kaito stammered, quickly leaping to his feet and dashing to the kitchen. I'll help bring out the food. Madara chuckled quietly, casting an amused glance at Izuna. Izuna, flustered by his brother's indulgent gaze, turned slightly red. What? What is it? Madara shook his head slightly, smiling but saying nothing. Though Izuna's behavior had grown childish, seeing him so full of life filled Madara with a profound sense of relief. The image of Izuna's lifeless body, lying silently in a coffin with his eyes covered, had haunted Madara for years. This, he thought, was far better. Nothing. Madara said at last, picking up his chopsticks. Let's eat. Okay. Izuna obediently sat down, calling over his shoulder. Oi, Kaito. Hurry up with the soup. Coming. Kaito soon returned, balancing a tray of soup bowls, and distributed them before taking his seat. Let's eat. He clapped his hands together and eagerly dug in, grinning after his first bite. Miss Chiri cooking is the best. If you like it, eat more. Chiri said with a warm smile. Don't mind if I do. As Kaito reached out for another helping, his chopsticks clashed with Izuna's. The two locked eyes, sparks flying as they glared at each other. Humphrey. Both snorted and began grabbing food at lightning speed, each determined to outpace the other. After the meal, Kaito and Izuna lay sprawled on the floor, clutching their stomachs. Have some tea. Chiri approached with a tray of tea, setting it down beside them. Thanks, Ms. Chiri. Kaito said, struggling to sit up. Much appreciated. Izuna added, also managing to sit upright. You're welcome. Chiri smiled as she began clearing the table. Madara silently watched the two from his seat before turning toward the slightly barren courtyard outside. Phew. Kaito took a sip of tea, his eyes drifting toward the same view. The plan's set, he said after a moment. It's time to go after Nagato. Chapter 238, A Rainy Winter Day. Winter rain mixed with bone-chilling cold fell steadily from the gloomy sky. As always, Kisame stood alone in the rain, the massive Seimata sword slung across his back. Hey, you're here, he said suddenly, turning to face the dark doorway of a nearby building. Two shadows appeared within the murky entrance. Come in, Kisame. The two figures spoke briefly before retreating back into the shadows inside. Understood. Kisame grinned, turning toward the door and stepping inside. Inside the hideout, the sound of flames crackling broke the silence as torches along the stone walls ignited, illuminating the dark room. Madara-sama, Zetsu-sama. Kisame greeted casually, leaning Seimata against the central table before slumping into a chair, dripping wet. You called for me? Cold mist radiated from his soaked body as he wiped his face with his hand, water dripping from his sleeves and the hem of his cloak. TCH. Obito. Cloaked in the identity of Madara. Walked past him, red chuck raw flaring around him like flames. Hey, careful. Kisame complained, shaking his drenched sleeves. You're roasting my back, Madara-sama. Then dry yourself off. Obito withdrew the chakra, taking a seat across from Kisame. His single visible Sharingan glared at Kisame through the hole in his mask. Fine, fine. You're always so demanding. Kisame grumbled, though he quickly raised his right hand. The water coating his body coalesced into a small sphere in his palm. The sphere grew larger as his hair and clothes dried rapidly. With a splash, Kisame casually tossed the water sphere behind him, baring his shark-like teeth in a wide grin. Alright, now we can get down to business. Pain has assigned me the task of capturing the 8 tails. Obito said, his raspy voice cutting through the room. I need your help, Kisame. Me? Kisame chuckled. For someone like you, catching the 8 tails shouldn't be a problem, should it? Don't you already have a partner? Obito sneered. Pain doesn't trust me completely. He's suspicious of my identity. As for the partner you mentioned, Terai? That fool is useless against the 8 tails. Well, if the leader hasn't ordered me, is it really okay? Kisame gripped Seimata's handle, his tone half teasing. Although, I admit Seimata does love the taste of tailed beast chakra. Don't worry, I've already spoken to Pain. Obito stood and approached Kisame, looking down at him. Besides, for this mission, you're the main force. Since you've put it that way, there's no problem. Kisame said with a bloodthirsty grin, gripping Seimata tighter. When do we leave? No rush. Obito replied, sitting casually on the table. Zetsu will help us locate the 8 tails first. Hey, from what I've heard, the 8 tails Jinchuriki isn't exactly the quiet type. White Zetsu chimed in, his voice echoing from the Venus flytrap-like structure surrounding his head. I've already sent out clones to track him down. The 8 tails won't be too challenging for you. Black Zetsu added, his deeper voice resonating. Leave the 9 tails to Pain. Are we planning to target Hidden Leaf Village? Kisame asked, grinning as he glanced at Obito. Didn't you and Itachi have a deal about that? Obito let out a cold laugh. Itachi? That man is as good as dead now. Any agreements we had died with him. Hey, let's see what the leader can accomplish then. Kisame said, his grin widening. Hopefully, he doesn't screw up. After all, Hidden Leaf Village has 2 Hokage now. The 4th Hokage is certainly a troublesome opponent. Black Zetsu remarked casually. Oh, found him. White Zetsu suddenly exclaimed. The 8 tails Jinchuriki, Killer Bee, is near the Thundercloud Gorge in the Land of Lightning, hosting a solo concert. Let's go, then. Obito leapt down from the table, activating his Mangekyo Sharingan. Are there any other cloud ninja nearby? Nope. White Zetsu answered cheerfully. There's barely even an audience. Perfect. Obito's Sharingan spun as a space-time vortex began to form. Let's move, he said to Kisame. The two disappeared into the swirling portal. Should we go watch? White Zetsu asked. No. Black Zetsu replied firmly. We need to head to Hidden Leaf Village to confirm the Night Tail's location. Fine. White Zetsu grumbled, sounding disappointed. Thundercloud Gorge, Land of Lightning. A makeshift stage stood amidst the rugged landscape. Its garish backdrop and oversized speakers clashed with the stark scenery. Upbeat music blared from the speakers as Killer Bee, wearing sunglasses, danced and rapped enthusiastically on stage. Yo, yo. Fool, ya fool. I'm Killer Bee, the rap king of Hidden Cloud. You've came to see my glorious. The sparse audience, consisting of a handful of civilians, stared back with blank, indifferent expressions. Mom, this guy's singing is terrible. A young boy whispered loudly from the edge of the crowd. When will it end?